on Volleyball Media Days. Dave, welcome in. 20-plus years for you. What keeps you coming back each season?
It's a good job. I love being at Purdue University. We have great athletes, great culture, and it's a phenomenal job. I'm lucky to be there. So you just looked at three of them. I mean, three great players that make the job fun, love walking into the gym every single day.
Three players, so you got to take on a pretty cool European trip over the summer. What was that like in terms of team chemistry, building off the court as well, and just the overall experience of being there as a team?
Well, we have about everybody back from last year's team, which is wonderful. So we kind of knew who we were going over there. We did pick up our three freshmen. They were able to go with us, which was nice. But every year is different. Just because you have certain players returning, they're all going to be different in what their role is as far as leadership and on the floor and off the floor. So I thought it was a great trip. We would have liked to play some better competition over there. Just we had some teams that kind of weren't there that we thought were going to be there to play. And but overall, it was a great trip. Everybody got to play a lot of volleyball. I think we played 6 matches while we were there, and it was fun. It was a great trip for us, and it should make it easier as we move into this season.
I don't think many folks are saying easier about this year when you consider the schedule that everybody has to face, and overall the amazing rise in popularity that has brought so many other programs into the picture. You and I have discussed this at length in the past, but it also means that programs need to find new ways to recruit, new ways to stay fresh, to remain as relevant as your program has. So how have you done that?
Well, it's a crazy time in college athletics. I mean, let's be honest about it right now. And everybody has to figure out what they're going to do to get recruits to look at them. And the first thing you do is you win, okay? And you put great players on the floor that players want to look like when they get here. Annie Drews helps us a lot. You know, the fact that right now she's been the star of the Olympic team. And, those are all things you have to do. Our facilities are phenomenal. Like, for example, this year we're going to play 2 matches in Mackey Arena. We hope that we can fill that arena, 14,240 seats. We think we can do that. So there's just constant things you have to do. You have to have the support of your administration. We do have that support. Mike Babinski's been tremendous for our volleyball team. You know, he puts volleyball very high on the pedestal. And so we want to continue to do that. What you guys do here in the Big Ten Network has been just absolutely tremendous for our sport. There's a reason volleyball in this conference is #1, and a lot of that is because of the Big Ten Network.
Well, we've obviously loved being a part of it and watching the rise in popularity, the rise in viewership as well. But there are questions that still need to be answered in this day and age of college athletics, quite a few. The transfer portal has been there for a couple of years, but now we're discussing revenue sharing in our own league. We have to discuss NCAA tournament inclusion and how hard it now becomes for teams to be 500 overall if you play tough non-cons. These are things, I think, Dave, that probably keep you up at night and that coaches are thinking about a lot more than other folks that just watch this sport.
Yeah, I think, when I go into this season, it's so much the same. You know, you have to be really good, and you have to be very well prepared, and your team has to be loaded with talent, and you've got to compete every single night. But what's different is you're adding 4 teams with great tradition that come into this league, and they're going to be out to prove a point as well. I don't think the league is going to be remarkably stronger because you were playing a lot of teams twice before that were really good. And now you're playing less of those, but you're bringing in the Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC, and you have to learn about those teams. You know, we know a lot about how Kelly Sheffield coaches. He's really good, but we know what his teams do. We're not as familiar with what UCLA is going to do, or Oregon, or Washington. So there's going to be a lot of work to prepare for them. We only play them one time, so you better get it right the first time because you're not going to play those teams twice.
Let's talk about some of the players that are here as your reps this week. Lourdes Meyers is here, 5th-year middle, who led your team, I believe, in hitting percentage a year ago. What are her best assets, both on and off the court, for your program?
Well, Lourdes is a real physical player. I remember when I watched her the very first time in a tournament in Indianapolis, and right then I knew we needed her in our gym. We needed that kind of an athlete. And it's been a process. You know, she went through some injuries early and learned a lot about the game, and now when I watched her play over in Europe, you could just see how physical and how confident she was becoming. So I think she's going to be one of our most improved players this year. Off the floor, she's grown and become a very more confident person. She also, you might hear her today. She's a little soft-spoken, but she's gaining confidence all the time, and on the court and off the court. So I think she's going to be a real dandy for us this year.
I have confidence Elena and Holly during the interview that we're about to hear will get the best out of her.
They're real professionals.
Now, Chloe Chicoine is athletic in a different way, obviously a different size set, a different skill set, but one of the most entertaining players to watch, coming out of the back row, so much fun. What has she provided for your program? How much room is there for her to still grow, and how does she reach that potential?
No, she's going to get a lot better because nobody works harder than she does. She's an absolute game changer. You know, when she walked into our gym, she came early in the spring semester of her senior year, which was really good for her and for us. And the minute she got there, our program changed because she was in the gym more than any other player had ever been at Purdue. And when people watch somebody who's that kind of a role model and they're in the gym, you start showing up in the gym and you start working harder. And she's a great competitor, and she's got the heart of gold. And, you know, we're just better because she's at Purdue. And I think that, you know, you talk about, will she get better? Yeah, she's going to get a lot better because she's in the gym all the time and she's such a great competitor. And, you know, there are so many things. When you come to the Big Ten, you've got to be good at a lot of things. And she was a great attacker, did a lot of things well, had the jump serve going, did a lot of those things. But we've had to really focus on serve receive, had to focus on blocking. And those things are, she recognizes what she needs to work on. So we're going to see a lot of progress with her this season as well.
Excited to hear from her, and Lourdes coming up in just a bit. Now, only two players can be here. Right. Eva Hudson was here a year ago, chose a couple other players to come, but Raven Colvin is back in West Lafayette as well. Dave, when you start to talk about depth, and I look at your team, especially at that top level depth, how comfortable are you that that is going to be a massive strength for your program no matter who you're playing against on a nightly basis?
I think we can match up with anybody athletically. Our strength is really in the first touch, you know, our serve receive, our defense, our serving. We've made a lot of progress in that. We're going to be big enough to match up with the Wisconsins and the Nebraskas and the Penn States, who I think, you know, are top tier programs, not just in our league, but across the country. But I think what makes us different is how we compete and how tough we are and how determined. And you talked about, you know, the three that jump out at me the most: Chloe, Eva, and Raven Colvin. And Raven, you know, got left off the All-Big Ten team this year, which is wonderful for me. You know, a
little bit of motivation.
Yeah, I like to see the fire burn with Raven because she's. The one thing about Raven is the last 3 years she's had 3 different setters, and so when you're a middle hitter, you're a little bit. Your success is determined a little bit by the setter. It's not like an outside hitter that has time to adjust to the ball a lot. When you're in the middle, you want the ball in the wheelhouse, okay? And a lot of it was on her that she just lacked the rapport or the confidence with those setters. The setters were doing a decent job. And now we have that same setter returning now. For the first time in her career, she'll have the same setter
that chemistry.
setting her the ball, and that's Taylor Anderson, who is very gifted, was a Big Ten all-freshman team member a year ago. So I think that this spring we saw a different Raven Colvin than what we had seen for a few years.
I do want to touch on your schedule a little bit. After the Stacey Clark Classic, you basically leave West Lafayette and the state of Indiana forever, right? You're in Utah, Dallas, you're at Kansas. You're basically away for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I think that would make a lot of coaches nervous. Are you more comfortable because of how much experience you have coming back with that kind of schedule in the non-con?
Yeah, you never get real comfortable in this league, period, coaching at this level with the schedule we have. But certainly having as many players as we've got gave me the confidence to put that schedule together. When you look at it now, you wonder, what were you thinking, you know, when you did that? But I also trust my players, that they're going to compete every night they step on the floor. And if we can stay healthy and keep our best players available, then we're going to be really hard to handle.
I do want to look into the future, Dave, as we finish. How much will the addition of these schools and some extra travel affect the way that you and maybe some other top-tier programs do schedule in the non-conference, especially when it comes to that travel?
Yeah, when I look at the travel, it's not as big of a deal as a lot of people have made it out to be. We're going to make one trip that we haven't made before. We're going to go out to Washington and Oregon over Thanksgiving. That's when, you know, we got the draw to do that. So you may want to schedule a little bit more close to home during the off season, but we've always tried to do that. I don't like traveling. I don't like, you know, taking my team to Hawaii or California during non-conference. I want to train. I want to be in the gym as often as possible and keep them well rested because we know what the gauntlet of the Big Ten is that lies ahead. But our schedule non-conference is very tough. You have to really know the game to look at that schedule and realize that it's a really, really tough schedule. And there'll be a lot of teams that can beat us if we don't come out ready to play.
Dave Shondell, Purdue head coach. Dave, always great to catch up. Wish you and the Boilermakers the best of luck in 2024.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, we talked about the schedule a little bit. We're going to give you a visual look now at some of those non-con games that I mentioned, the locations, and the opponents are up there. Kansas State, Creighton, always tough. And look at the Big Ten slate. I mean, just look at those first couple of weeks. You have Penn State, Minnesota, and Nebraska within a 2-week span from late September into the middle of October. Should be so many great matches for Purdue to deal with. And for some of those players who are going to deal with those oppositions, we send it over to Elena and Holly for the first time.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are joined today by Lourdes, Meyers, and Chloe Chicoine of Purdue Volleyball. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. We are so happy to have you here today. Hope you have so much fun. We're going to have fun here now. Just want to get started with last year. You guys are returning some key players. You two, of course, coming back to this year's squad. What's the mindset going into this season?
I think we're motivated and we're super excited to have this team back. We have the same setter back and the hitters and passers, so we're bonding and gelling on the court, and I think our connection is going to play a really big role on the court this year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we have a year under our belt, and we're pretty much returning our entire roster except for a couple seniors from last year, and we have some really good freshmen coming in. So I think we've done a really good job in the spring working together, and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Chloe, you had a fantastic freshman season, came in early, and your coach said you were a game changer because you started showing up in the gym early. What drives you?
I mean, I just love the gym. I mean, I really enjoy volleyball, and I think that's what has led me to play this on and want to keep playing and getting better. And I think Purdue really fosters that. We have coaches that push us in the gym, and we also have players like Eva comes in with me all the time, and it's just really fun that everybody on our team wants to get better. Even Lourdes, she'll come in and pass balls with us. She never passes really, but she just wants to keep playing. So.
Middles always love passing balls, setting balls, taking all the things that they really shouldn't be doing. But you're ready when it comes to you. So I love that. Chloe, what's like the main takeaway you took from your freshman season now heading into your sophomore season?
Probably just to rely on my teammates. I mean, I think I was a little bit nervous when we did our first couple of games, but then I realized how close of a family we all are and how we have prepared and we're ready for this. So when game time comes, let's just play together and show out.
Lourdes, you had a fantastic season last year, highest hitting percentage, second in blocks. Your coach said you're going to be the most improved player on this team. In what areas have you improved the most?
This year I put on intentional weight to gain on muscle mass, and so I feel like I'm hitting balls harder, and I feel like I've gotten stronger. I feel like I'm reading blocks more accurately than I did last season, so everything with me is intentional right now.
We heard your coach talk a little bit about your international trip this past spring. I would love to hear from both of you. What was the highlight of that trip? And just give me a rundown on it. I'm so jealous that I didn't get to join you guys.
Well, Lourdes and I were roommates that entire trip for most of it, so that was super fun. We spent a ton of time together this summer, so I loved getting closer to Lourdes, just being roommates with her. But personally, I love Croatia. We were right on the beach, so we all got to jump into the sea, which was super fun, and the food there was really good. It was like a bunch of meats and cheese, and it was fun.
Yeah, I feel like we were able to bond and get closer with each other on a personal level. I really enjoyed Turkey. We got to get on the yacht and on our last day and enjoy the water, so that was my favorite part.
Was there any one team moment that really stood out for you guys?
One time we were coming back from shopping in Milan, and we were all walking back, and the trolley didn't make it all the way back to our hotel, so it started pouring, and all of us were just standing there in the rain, waiting for the next trolley to come, and it was so much fun. We made Dave and Angie do TikToks with us. We just had a great time.
Good memories.
Holloway Gym is one of the most exciting gyms to play in all of college volleyball, and you guys have a couple matches this year in Mackey Arena as well. Can you just explain a little bit what that home court advantage is like for you guys getting to play with the block party there? Lourdes, you can go first.
Yeah, I think it's a cool experience, and being able to play in Mackey is a big deal, and I'm so thankful for the coaches for putting this together for us, and so I just think it's amazing to play in front of our fans, and they deserve it, we deserve it, and I'm excited to see the paint crew and the Boiler Block finally unite. So I'm just super excited for college volleyball right now.
Yeah, me too. It's been awesome. And I mean, Purdue is just really supporting our volleyball. We actually just got Terraflex too, so that'll be exciting. And it's just going to be fun with all of our student athletes, and just our students take it really seriously. They see us on campus and talk to us, which is so awesome. And they really like to support us.
So going into the season, give us a little bit of insight into your gym right now. What can fans expect to see when they watch Purdue volleyball?
You know, we're going to work hard on the court this year to win as many games as we can. We're going to bring a lot of intensity, and
Yeah, I agree with what you said. We're going to have a tight-knit bond on the court, but I think we're going to be gritty, kind of like Lourdes said. And I think in our gym, we've done a really good job of being intentional with our practices and what we're doing. So I think that'll show up this year.
Well, we can't wait to watch you guys this year. Thank you so much, Lourdes and Chloe. Hope you have a great rest of your day at Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you too.
First of all, what's this day like for you guys? Because you're worried about all this, but you're obviously wanting to check in on what's happening with Coach Reft and the Olympic team.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited. It's going to be a lot of checking Twitter, maybe a little looking at our phones here and there, but we're just really proud of Alfie, and we're hoping that we're not going to see him for a while, because that means they're doing good stuff.
Right, this is a balance for you, right? Because everybody on the team, so especially the rest of the staff, you want the head coach back because the season's only 3.5 weeks away, but you don't want him back too quickly.
Exactly. I mean, last year we got some good prep when Alfie was away for the quarterfinal match. Year two, taking some time away from your head coach. I mean, that's never ideal, but I think the girls are just so proud of him. It's given us something to cheer for. All of UCLA's rallied around Alfie in support because they know what a big deal it is and how great the things that he's doing for Team USA.
So getting ready to start year one as a member of the Big Ten. So your first ever Big Ten Volleyball Media Days. No, you guys just got in yesterday, so it's kind of been a quick start, and you're one of our earliest guests this morning. What's the experience been like so far for you and your players?
So far, everything's been fantastic. The dinner and the reception yesterday was great. I think we're just excited to be here, and we're excited to showcase Anna and Audrey, who are like just two fantastic leaders for our team, and we're looking forward to what the day has in store.
So Elena and Holly will chat with those two players coming up in just a little bit, but let's discuss what they mean to your program. Anna Dodson, a three-time All-Pac-12 performer, 2023 honorable mention All-American. What does she mean to your program, and what will you need from her in 2024 to make this year successful?
Yeah, I mean, Anna is definitely a leader on our team. I think you can watch her play and understand kind of like the emotional heartbeat of our team for sure. She wears her heart on her sleeve. She's so passionate. I mean, she's obviously a big presence at the net for us, and she's put in a lot of really good work, got some time training with Team USA, and we're looking forward to kind of like what she's going to do for her last time as a Bruin.
As we get to watch some of her highlights right now, what really stands out about her skill set?
I think everyone kind of like talks about like what Anna's able to do offensively and as a blocker, but people really lose how she processes the game, what she thinks, how she's able to kind of pick setters apart, pick offense apart. It's so fun coaching her because like on the sideline, we're just having conversations about what I'm seeing, what she's seeing. Alfie's chiming in, and it's just this really neat collaborative environment that Anna's put a ton of time in watching video to create.
In a sense, like having another assistant coach, but one that's actually playing on the floor.
Exactly.
Audrey Pack also with you. Now, 15 of her 19 starts came in your last 15 matches of the year, so obviously her role expanded later in the year. How much more do you envision that role expanding this year?
I think that when Audrey comes in, right, it's going to be a battle to start for the setter position, but Audrey's gotten a lot of good experience for us. She's been a part of some really big wins in our program last year, and I think that she also put in a ton of work, extra reps, trying to like dial in the tempo. I know that she's communicated a lot with the new incomers that we have, making sure that when we start in a couple of days that we're able to hit the ground running with some connection.
Hitters get so much more of the attention because they make the big swings, they get the points and the kills to get the fans out of the seats. But as I was just talking with Purdue head coach Dave Shondell, he pointed out the importance of the setter for those hitters and the chemistry and understanding and how much harder it is for hitters if you're rotating through different setters. So can you talk to me a little bit about that strategy and from a coaching perspective, what you're looking for when you're looking for that setter-hitter relationship?
So I think a big part of that is kind of like how you communicate off the court as well. It's really hard to like battle and play with someone if you don't really know them as a person. So both the setters on our team, that's something that Alfie stresses. He works a lot with them of just how to bring the most out of your players. Everyone's going to need something a little bit different. And so that's where kind of like the art of setting comes into play, so to speak.
What's been the biggest focus for you, for Alfie, for the rest of the staff? I mean, this is a huge transition year. I understand winning volleyball is winning volleyball, whether you're playing in the Pac-12 or the Big Ten, but there is more travel. There's a talk about the compare and contrast between styles. How are you guys focusing on making this transition as easy as possible?
I mean, obviously the Big Ten is the best conference in volleyball. And so in order to prep for that, we scheduled a tough non-conference. We're going to be on the road. We're going to get a firsthand look at what it's like to travel across the country, play in different time zones, what that turnaround is going to be. So we feel that going into our first match of conference, we're going to be battle tested. We're going to have, obviously, adapting and adjusting to some of the travel piece, but I think we're going to be in a pretty good spot.
Obviously, Audrey and Anna are here because they're two players that you rely on, but you're going to have to be so deep in this league. Give us some other names that Big Ten volleyball fans who have watched this league in the past maybe should get used to hearing when they're watching their favorite teams play against UCLA.
I think we're having Brooklyn Briscoe. She's another middle coming off of a redshirt season. She's going to be fantastic. She's probably going to come in. You'll see her here or there. We've gotten a couple transfers in as well. Sophia Victoria from the University of Florida, Leilani Dodson, who I assume you guys are pretty familiar with. Kate Riley's coming off a fantastic career at Stanford playing beach. And so I think a strength of our team this year is the amount of depth, the amount of different faces. You'll see everyone brings a little bit of a different style to the game, and I think it's just going to make us even more competitive in those big matches.
I'm glad you bring up the transfer portal because it's really changed what college volleyball, really all sports in college have become. But we see so many more interconference transfers, I think, in volleyball than we do in other sports. What's your strategy and your philosophy, along with Alfie and the rest of the staff, in terms of recruiting and balancing the traditional recruiting style with the transfers that maybe come in and are absolutely college ready?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for our program is Alfie really prioritizes who the people that are coming in are. And so obviously there's great players across the country, but if they're not necessarily the personality fit or the cultural fit for our team, then unfortunately sometimes, we have to look in another direction. So I think the biggest part for us is just the people that we're bringing in. Like, are they on board? Are they all in? And are they just going to help continue to propel UCLA forward and the vision of what Alfie wants to do for this program?
Obviously, another thing that changes, and more significantly for you and the other three West Coast schools, travel. Big Ten existing schools before last Friday have to make one long road trip west. You guys have to do it a lot more often. How do you kind of offset that, make it a little bit easier for the players who are at the same time they're trying to win matches, balancing academics at a really tough school?
Yeah, I think UCLA has done a fantastic job of just prepping all sports with kind of like what that's going to look like academically, recovery-wise. They've put a ton of resources into making sure that our student athletes are going to be taken care of, having the best experience, and we're going to be able to compete with just everybody else in the country.
Now, I looked multiple times at your schedule to make sure I wasn't missing something with a home match that was sprinkled in there that I didn't see, and I just see road, neutral, road. By design, did it happen for a specific reason? And what do you hope to be able to get out of a team after being that road tested in the non-con?
I think the biggest part is just the prep for quick turnarounds, for long flights. We're going to learn a lot about like how our team recovers, what our team's going to need academically. I think we want to be really good for the athletes, mainly in like the recovery space of just, it's tough. You're flying across the country. You've got to get off a flight, quick turnaround to go and play. So I think it's just going to give us a lot of like data and insight for what our girls need and how we're able to best support them.
All right, lastly, Amir, we started by talking about Alfie and Team USA about to start that quarterfinal match. Obviously, you're hoping that they're playing in not just the quarters, but the semis and the championship as well. It also means that Alfie's going to be in Paris for a while. It shortens the time that he will be back with you guys before the season starts because we're only 3.5 weeks away. What will that mean for you and the rest of this staff with a snug window between the time he comes back and the time of the first match and what you need to get out of your team before then?
I think luckily we get those 5 extra days this year. So while Alfie does miss, a couple of those 5, he's going to be back for the bulk of like that 2-week window that we get. He was so great with kind of like the collaboration in our prep going into season, how we were going to structure practices, lifts, like the flow, the messaging. So, we're lucky to have such a great leader because we've been prepped for this situation for a couple months now.
Amir Lugo-Rodriguez, we appreciate you coming in. And by the way, for anybody that noticed, no, Amir and I did not text each other before the show. We are twinning a little bit. The bad news for me is that he wears it a whole lot better. Truly appreciate your time, Coach. We'll take a look now at some of those games that we mentioned, the matches on the schedule. Yes, early on, there's a lot of at Georgia Tech, at Tennessee. Welcome into the Big Ten, at Nebraska in early September. They have Penn State, USC, Oregon, Washington, all part of that early schedule. Wisconsin a little bit later, more toward the end of the year. For some select Bruin players, we send it over once again to Elena and Holly.
Thank you, Rick. Holly and I are back, this time joined by Audrey and Anna Dodson of UCLA Volleyball. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days and welcome to the Big Ten Conference. We are so excited to have you guys here. I'd love to hear from both of you just what are your thoughts about joining this conference for volleyball?
We're both so excited. Just even being here for Media Day has been so awesome to see all the great resources and just how much is being put into this conference, so we're really excited.
Yeah, it's truly a great opportunity just to be a part of such a competitive conference, and we're just honored to be here today.
You guys, both grad students, first year with Alfie Ref last year. How did your program change under him?
Yeah, Alfie really instilled a player-led culture that obviously he inspires and impacts, but it's been nothing but amazing with him. He, has given so much to this program already and is just setting the stage for the future. And I think that's really being shown with the new Bruins that we currently have.
Obviously, Alfie, we were just chatting about it, is over in Paris with Team USA right now. How special is it to have your coach go and coach those girls and then come back and kind of bring that experience into your gym?
It's so cool knowing that he's out there coaching the best of the best, and then he gets to come back and take what he's learned with them and teach it to us, and it's such an honor because he is just so wise and getting such great experience with them.
Yeah, I second that. I think, Alfie brings so much knowledge already to the game, and just having his resources with USA and then being able to go from their training to our training is just so special, and being able to learn from him and learn from what he's working on with their players and bringing that to our players, it's honestly just an inspiration every day, and I'm truly lucky.
Audrey, you had to battle hard to win that setting position last year. You finished strong. What have you worked on the most since last season?
Since last season, I've mostly been focused on just overall consistency with my sets and then connection with all of our hitters, and we also have some new faces in the gym, so just building those relationships and working on those connections.
Anna, for you, coming into Big Ten Conference, what are your expectations and how does the West Coast style differ from the Big Ten current style?
Yeah, I do not have any expectations but us to go out and give our absolute best, and the wins will come with that. I think the West Coast style does differ with the Midwest and East Coast, but truly, I think playing against different styles, it allows us to bring more competitive energy and also learn from each other while we're competing. And I think, that's also going to advance Big Ten volleyball, and it's going to be great to be a part of.
We love having you in this conference, and I'm sure all of the fans, Big Ten volleyball fans, are super passionate. So I want to let them get to know you guys a little bit more. Tell us a little bit about the culture of UCLA volleyball and just what kind of makes UCLA volleyball into UCLA volleyball.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Anna was saying, having Alfie join us really helped us build our culture from the ground up and lay such a good foundation. And like Anna said too, we're really big on just having a player-led culture where everyone, even if you're a freshman, everyone is giving their input because everyone just brings something so unique to the table. So we just love having everybody contribute, and I feel like that's what makes UCLA UCLA, because we're just all in and everyone's all in. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the goals for this year and for our season is just bringing ferocity and unity, and we've really solidified with these new 7 players that have already came to us this summer, just that unity piece, and it's been great. During the season and in the summer, we do 10 meetings, which are team enhancement meetings, and we focus on our culture, getting to know each other on a deeper level, and that really just truly shows on the court how tight we are when we take that time and put in the work off the court.
There's some incredible venues in the Big Ten. Are you looking forward to any in particular to compete in?
Yeah, personally, I'm looking forward to Maryland and Rutgers. I actually have family over there, so I'm excited to actually have them in the crowd and see another place.
I'm excited for our conference opener at Nebraska. I feel like after our preseason, it'll just be such a good chance to put what we've learned to the test. And obviously Nebraska has such a cool culture with their fans and how bought in they are to it.
I would love to hear from both of you heading into your last seasons at UCLA. What do you kind of want your legacy to be once you leave this program?
Yeah, that's something that we actually talk about a lot for each player. And for me, you know, I'm going into my 6th year, so it's all about just making this program better. And I think, you know, that's already happened, and it's just continually finding new ways to upgrade. A big thing in our gym is adapt and adjust. So there's always going to be adversity and challenges we have to overcome. But truly, it's just, you know, what can I do for my teammates? What can I do for UCLA? What can I do for those that have played before us, and obviously honor them and play for their legacy?
Yeah, my answer is really similar to Anna's. Basically what she said, what can we do for UCLA, and also the players that are going to come to UCLA in the future, just leaving everything we have and how we can love our teammates right now and just help build the culture so that UCLA's legacy can continue to excel.
Anna, you thought about getting on the portal, being done a year ago. You're back now with this opportunity to compete in the best conference in the country. What are you most excited about?
I'm just excited to play in such a competitive conference. I know like this year is going to be so amazing just with the amount of people that we have and what's already been showing just in our summer practices. I think we're really coming for blood, and it's just so exciting. I guess goosebumps thinking about it.
Just to finish it off here, I would love to hear about what your favorite part of just being a student athlete at UCLA is. Obviously, we know the UCLA volleyball program has a rich history, national championships. You got one of those. But would love to hear just in general the experience of being a student athlete at UCLA and rigorous academics, great volleyball. Give us a little preview into your lives.
What I love about UCLA is just its culture of excellence in all aspects, especially academics and also athletics, not just our team, but being able to be around such other excellent programs like men's volleyball, beach volleyball. It's just nice to be around that.
Yeah, I think UCLA is top tier in every sport. And like Audrey said, just being surrounded by that on the daily with friends and teammates and other sports is just such an opportunity. And we really relish with that kind of mindset of success around UCLA. And it's top tier academics and top tier athletics, so I couldn't ask for more.
What's been your favorite station so far today at Media Day? Besides ours.
We've
we know
only
ours
been at the
is favorite.
TikTok station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We're having a grad blast.
So we're number one.
Yes.
Thank you.
Holly, I lied. One more question.
Okay.
When they were just talking about their experience as student athletes at UCLA, I would love to hear yours. Does that echo
Yes.
that? What was your experience like?
Absolutely. I mean, you're surrounded by people who want to be the best and a great academic institution. And I've been in the gym with Alfie coaching them, and it's so inspiring. I wish I still had eligibility. He's got the whiteboard. He's very focused on details, and it makes me want to come back and play. And I can't anymore, but you guys get to, and you're lucky, so enjoy it.
Yes, we love having you, Holly. Come back anytime.
Yes. I'll make my way into your gym too.
Yes.
Sometime,
Yeah,
I
you do.
promise.
Everyone's welcome.
Well, Audrey, Anna, thank you so much. This has been so fun. Welcome to the conference. Enjoy the rest of your day here at Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you guys.
Up to the present date, Brad Keller, head coach, kind enough to join us. I mean, such an exciting time for you, for your program. Easy to be a bit overwhelmed and excited at the same time. What are the emotions that you and your players are feeling as you're here at Media Days, looking ahead to a season that's really going to be like none other?
Excited. I mean, I've been shaking all day because it's been a little overwhelming in a great way. My girls are having the time of their life. They're trying to get me in a TikTok video. I'm not doing that yet. I swear I'm not going to do. I might do it. And just the professionalism. This whole thing has just been top notch, and I love it.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here. And one of your players, Tuaniga, gave the speech at the dinner on Monday night and just jumps off the page with personality. And you were just telling me that that's one thing that you actually recruit, not just talent, not just skill, not just chemistry, but personality as well. Why is that important to your program?
Well, you're going to be with these young women for 5 years or 4 years. You might as well like them, right? I mean, you might as well try to get along with them. And this is at the end of the day, it's a game. And so if it's a game, you gotta push the fun and all that stuff out. So I want powerful personalities. I want dreamers. I want go-getters. I want, I want these things because it makes it so much fun. And then one of my favorite quotes is, imagination is more powerful than the knowledge. Knowledge is limited. So I want people to be big dreamers. And so I think I have that. I have 2 individuals that are here to represent, and they're exactly that.
So how has that helped you, and how has that manifested itself as you get ready for a change, a seismic change that maybe some players could look at as a massive challenge and a little bit scary? I'm guessing with those kind of personalities and recruits, they're looking at it as more of an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is a big challenge. But don't we want that? Aren't we going after the challenge? Don't you want to be at your very best and play the best? And so when this opportunity came up, you have to have people that go towards the fire, I guess, instead of run away from the fire. And so I think that I have that with this team. I think I have that with our future recruits. I think I have that with my staff. I mean, I have a fantastic staff. And the excitement in our gym right now is a little much. It's awesome.
Unless I'm mistaken, I think you were maybe the only unbeaten Big Ten team a year ago, because you went 2-0 against Big Ten competition.
That's right.
And you did it away from home, too. There's been a lot of talk about the compare and contrast between what the style of Pac-12 volleyball was and what the style of Big Ten volleyball has been. How much legitimacy is there to that compare and contrast?
I don't know what I don't know yet. So I've seen a lot of video of these teams, and there's some differences with all the different programs. We're going to be different this year. We're going to play a very different style of ball than we did last year. We are going to go a lot faster. We're going to be more creative. We are going to take a lot more risk. And so if you're a fan, hang on to your pants, because it's going to be a wild ride here. So it's going to be a fun one, though.
All right, let's talk about the players that you brought, and we'll start with Mia, who, as I mentioned, we got to hear at the player and coaches dinner on Monday. She's a back-to-back all Pac-12 selection, steadily climbing up the all-time assist list at USC. How much does this team rely on her ability to get the ball in the right spots to the right players at the right time?
I would say in the past it would be 100%. I think now with our new style of play, I think there's just less stress amongst everybody and how they play. There's more grace in how we're passing, how we're setting, how we're playing. And by freeing each other up, you end up playing better. And so I think there's less of that, and it's more of just her presence, what she's gone through. I said earlier that she's grown up around this game. She's known this game for a very long time. It's her time, and she's seizing it, and she's not afraid. And you saw that last night in her talk. She's not afraid of what this is. And don't you want that as your floor general? Don't you want that as your quarterback? I mean, I do. So
Lincoln Riley probably does, too.
I think Lincoln Riley does, too. Yeah, that's right. So I think all that stuff is super important. She knows how much I care about her. This whole team knows how much I care about them. So, but I think to go off on that real quick, we had a real tough conversation in December, and that's between her and I, but we both had to do a little bit growing up and like what we had to do to help each other get to this point. And so I think that now we're in a very good space as far as player coach and what we need to do with this team.
Your other player rep is pretty familiar to those who've watched the Big Ten. Allie Batenhorst, great things at Nebraska. Why was she a right player for you out of the transfer portal, and what do you expect right off the jump?
Well, to start off, so Allie and I went up and did a camp, and I can't believe I'm saying this story, but this camp, they had a bunch of different kids in this camp that have not been around volleyball at all. She was like the Beatles. I mean, the screaming and the yelling, like everywhere she goes, I have to take pictures. She's like, I'm sorry, Brad. I go, I know this is starting to get old. They don't even know who I am. It's like all that stuff, but she just has this presence, this aura about her. She demands the room without having to do a whole lot of talking. She's kind to everybody. She leads by example. She's a really good volleyball player. She's been to 2 national championships. She knows how to play in front of the biggest crowds. So she's battle tested, right? And so to be able to bring in a seasoned veteran outside hitter that has those qualities would be a really good compliment to Greg Gosnell, who's coming over as well, to a talented freshman class that we have, and then our setter, Mia Tuaniga.
We just saw some of Allie's highlights from her time in Lincoln. What's most impressive about her skill set?
Yeah, the funny part is I have never seen her hit personally yet. So
only on tape.
Only on
and we
tape.
just got to see some more right there.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
So the thing that jumped out at me was how high above the net she actually is in person, especially on her block. So that part was really great. The other thing is she has natural touch on her platform. And that's something you either have or you don't. You don't really develop that. So if you have natural touch, then you can do a lot of great things with the ball.
Brad, I want to go kind of big picture here. The transfer portal changed a lot of things. Obviously, anyone who wants to compete at the highest level has to use the transfer portal. But now that's something of a known. What's kind of unknown is the revenue sharing, the pay for play, if you will, how it's going to affect programs outside the major revenue sports. As a coach, how do you avoid getting too deep into the weeds because you're focused on the team, but also understanding this is going to affect the way that your program operates in the future?
Well, no matter what, it's the future. I mean, it's going to happen whether a coach likes it or not, whether a player likes it or not. We're heading towards that realm, and so it's about embracing it, educating yourself on it, making sure you've got really good people and mentors around you to help guide you through that instead of just jumping off in the deep end and then trying to figure it out. So USC has done an amazing job with Jen and the entire athletic administration of how we're going to do this moving forward. There's been a lot of talk of how we're doing it, when we're doing it, why we're doing it. But to really answer your question, it's happening. So you might as well jump in, right, and get going on it.
Yeah, and Jen gave me the same answer when I talked with her at the Big Ten Summit in late May, and she specifically pointed out women's basketball and women's volleyball and those two programs and the trajectory that they are on and wanting to make sure that they stay on those trajectories regardless of what happens in that revenue sharing era. Your non-con starts with a weekend series against Pepperdine. You also play Creighton, and that's in Omaha, always a tough team in a tough spot. You have Pitt at home, a team that's been among the top 10 nationally for multiple years, and then you host the SoCal Cup. It is a really difficult non-con. Why you schedule like that?
So I did two things there. We only take one trip, right? We're only going to Omaha once. Part of that was we don't know how the travel thing is going to work out, and so and we are a semester school, so we start a little bit earlier. So I wanted to make sure we had more home matches so our kids could get a rhythm in class and make sure they don't fall behind. And that was part of the thought process with that, because again, we don't know what we don't know. The second thing was you want to get good RPI teams that are going to compete for their conference titles or whatever, because at the end of the day, if you're not winning your conference, you're going to have to get in somehow, some way, and RPI is everything. We also don't want to back down from challenges, right? You want to play the Pitts, you want to play Creighton, you want to play these teams because they are really good volleyball programs.
That being said, the RPI and the 500 rule is going to be fascinating, especially in this league. How much are coaches thinking about that right now? And just to be clear for our viewers, the NCAA rule have to be 500 overall to get into the tournament, which means in a league like this, if you have a really tough non-con and go 2 or 3 games below 500, you have to be 3 or 4 games above 500 in the Big Ten just to get in, no matter how good your RPI is. How much are coaches thinking about this? How much more conversation has to take place about that specific issue?
I think if you're not thinking about it, you are way behind. You have to figure out ways to protect your program, enhance your program, and put yourself in good situations. So when you schedule non-conference, you have to think, okay, how many freshmen are going to be here? Because you have to get used to it. We have a new team. How's that rhythm going to look? Are we a veteran team like I think Shondell was talking about Purdue being a seasoned team? I think they know each other already. So you probably schedule a little bit differently that way. And it is a risk. You have to not go below 500 in non-con. There's no question about that, especially with what the Big Ten has to offer.
All right, finally, it's not that long until the first match of the year pops up. I know you've never even had the chance to see Allie swing in person. You will soon when camp opens, but that camp is seemingly so short before you actually have to play that first game. So once you are able to get your hands on it, to really see what's going on, what's the biggest focus between the time you leave here and the time the ball goes up for the first match?
Oh, that's a great question. I wasn't ready for that one. I would say the most important thing is making sure we're not overdoing it. I think that when the issue that you have is that you have this certain amount of time and then you're going to go on the road and you're going to start playing all these matches. So the league has already done a good job. We're only playing 2 matches the first weekend. We're only playing 2 matches the second weekend. That's on purpose, so we're not grinding our kids. We're making sure that we're not going double days every single day. Yes, we can focus on the passing and all these little things, but at the end of the day, it's about managing our bodies and keeping ourselves injury-free. If we can keep ourselves injury-free and keep ourselves intact culturally, which we're really good at, then I think we're going to have a lot of possible success.
Brad Keller, USC head coach. Brad, great to meet you. Look forward to working with you in your program, watching you throughout the course of the year.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take a closer look at some of the notable games now on the USC schedule. We discussed that Pitt game, part of a non-con that also includes Creighton. And then you get into Big Ten play, some terrific road trips. How about late September in Lincoln to face the Huskers? Get to go to a Pac-12 friend in Eugene with Oregon in early October. Late in the year, that trip to Washington to finish things off. We've touched on a couple of the USC players. To hear more from them, back to Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are so happy to be joined today by Mia Tuaniga and Ali Batenhorst, USC volleyball players. Thank you for being here with us today. Welcome to the conference. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. Hope you guys have been having fun so far. We had a great dinner on Monday evening. Mia, you spoke, and everyone was absolutely blown away. Well, how excited are you to be part of this conference?
I'm super excited. I don't know much about Big Ten. So I'm being very educated this whole day and all of yesterday, and I'm just really excited, and it's just a huge blessing to be able to be so welcomed by all of you guys, so thank you.
Ali, big change, right? Now you're on the West Coast. Is it a different feeling in the gym? We've heard a lot of people talk about the different styles of play. Are you feeling that, seeing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just the West Coast volleyball is totally a different style. It's a lot more creative and a lot more freedom in that area, but yeah, it's been super fun. Definitely a different culture in LA than it is in Lincoln, and I'm super excited. It's been a lot of fun. The girls are really cool.
Mia, your coach talked about you and him having a difficult conversation in December. I know you guys have battled a lot of injuries, but now in the spring feels like things are moving in the right direction. What have the biggest challenges been in the gym now that you have a full squad?
I wouldn't consider a lot of our spring or off season being challenging. I think most of our spring has just been us learning so much more volleyball, really amping up our IQ. I mean, you can see the height of our team. We're not going to be the biggest. So a big thing is just how can I be smarter? How can I get faster? And that's just, I think you guys are going to see that this season. So yeah.
Ali, you've obviously had years of experience already in this conference. Now you're joining this USC volleyball program. Who's coming to this conference? How have you used that experience to kind of help your teammates prepare them for the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, the Big Ten's a huge competitive conference, right? And every game's such a big game. And I think just having that experience under like high pressure situations and just being in such big matches all the time and just that type of play is obviously different than the West Coast. So I think just kind of having that experience will definitely translate and kind of help lead the team in a way.
I think there are two of you on the team now who played in the Big Ten before who can share the little insights, being on the road, sharing the Big Ten conference secrets. But what's your favorite venue to play in outside of USC and Nebraska?
Well, I would say, outside of USC and Nebraska, probably Penn State's pretty intense. I know we're not really going there this year, but it's always super high energy and the crowd's like super into it, and it's always just super intense. So I think that would probably be my favorite.
Mia, do you have any venues you're looking forward to competing in?
Not really. I'm just excited for every game. Yeah, everywhere we go, I'll be there.
Love it.
We can't wait to see you there at every match as well. And what I'm super excited to see is your coach Keller was just talking about how you're kind of amping up the offense a little bit this year. You're going to speed that up. As a former setter, both of us understand that's not easy to do. How have you kind of accepted that challenge, and how has that affected your training?
I think this whole time it's just been about a lot of trust. You know what I mean? We know what the errors are going to look like. We know what the good is going to look like. And, you know, this whole time we've just been really trying to build that trust. And we understand that it's not going to go great every single time. So we're just going to, our foundation right now is that relationship that we have off the court, that relationship that we have, you know, this whole time trying to build that whole thing. So, yeah.
A lot of new players in the gym for you guys. Who is the emotional leader, the vocal leader when you're in the gym together this summer?
I would say you. I would say you're very vocal and like you lead the team in energy and vibes, high energy all the time. I think Onye and Onye are pretty high energy.
Yeah, I would say we're pretty high energy, but someone who has also really been amping up her voice as well is Tyra Ariel.
Yeah.
She's been with us for a long time, and it's just really cool to see her grow as a leader and grow as a player as well. So I'm excited to see her, really use this voice this next season.
Yeah. We'd love to get to know USC volleyball just a little bit more, obviously on the court, but off the court as players. Allie, I know you've only been there a little bit, but would love to just hear from you guys what the culture of the program is like, what fans can expect to see when they see USC volleyball take the court.
We were just talking about this yesterday, and I think Brad does a really good job on really caring for us as individuals. Of course, he's worried about stats and all these other volleyball things, but he truly cares us as people. And I think you can really see that through the way we play. We're very free. We're not afraid to be ourselves. And I think you can see a little bit of that, as we're walking through these halls. We're loud and we're dancing half the time.
Yeah.
So, we're not afraid to really be ourselves. And I think USC is a place to really find who you are. So I think that's what you're going to see through the way we play.
Absolutely.
Tyler Hildebrand joining the coaching staff. What kind of an impact has he had on your program? I don't think you've been in the gym with him yet, just Mia.
Well, I've actually known Tyler since I was like 5 years old. So it was really cool to see him come in the gym, and it was really an adjustment because he's so close to my family. So it was like, whoa, it's like having another uncle around and everything. So that's been really fun, and just the effect that he's had in the practice gym, and he's not afraid to, show his passion for volleyball, and you can really see the IQ that he brings to the team as well. So.
And Allie, you did get a little bit of experience with him coaching you as well, right? How are you excited now playing for him at another university? Just kind of give us some insight into having him as a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyler is one of my favorite coaches, and when I found out he was going to SC, it was just awesome. I think he, obviously, like Mia said, he's very passionate about what he does, and him and the staff does a really good job of kind of creating an atmosphere where we feel able to be free and just have that freedom to be creative with our shots and try new things. And him and the staff kind of give this space where we're able to kind of work through things and kind of, just grow and find a new way of playing volleyball. Like you said, the West Coast is very different than the Midwest. So
it's interesting, everybody talking about what that stylistic difference is between the West Coast and the Big Ten. Tell me this, what match are you looking forward to on the schedule?
Sounds pretty obvious, but I'm excited to go back to Nebraska. Husker Nation's amazing, and those are my people, and I'm just so excited to kind of be back and be around my family and just old people that, I've kind of grown my game with, and they've just supported me through so many years of just everything. So super pumped for that. It'll be high energy for sure.
Mia, do you have any games circled on your calendar?
The whole calendar is actually circled. I don't really have any.
I
think my team is circled on the calendar.
Okay.
So yeah.
USC.
Yes,
good
yes.
answer. Good answer.
Good fire.
Allie, coming to this USC program, I kind of asked you this one, but have your teammates asked you anything about what to expect coming into the Big Ten, and what have you kind of told them about play in this conference? Obviously, Pac-12 volleyball was not easy at all to play in, but it is just a different play style of volleyball. Have you given them any advice?
Yeah, I would say it's just obviously a different style of play, and I think going in, nobody really knows what to expect from us, and I think just kind of playing our game, focusing on playing West Coast volleyball, doing what we do best, and I think that'll really stir some people up in the Big Ten. I think we're really just excited to be in front of such big crowds and play against such high competition with kind of being a team that no one really knows what to expect, so that's really exciting.
I think your team has spent some time off the court together this summer. What do you guys like to do as a team?
Go to the beach.
Go to the beach.
Number one.
There's a beach.
Yeah. We love doing sunset beach times. So we'll go there sweats and hoodies and just order pizza and then just chill on the beach. So that's super
Get sushi.
fun. Yeah. And then you went to a concert, right? A country concert?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I
Who'd
went
you
with
see?
a few of the girls. Kenny Chesney,
Ooh.
Megan Maroney, and Zach Brown Bam. It was really fun.
A lot of stuff going on in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always stuff to do in LA, for sure.
That's awesome. We'd love to get to know you guys a little bit more as all around people, USC student athletes. Mia, I know you've been there for a little bit. Allie, still new to you, but kind of what does it mean to you to be a USC student athlete? Obviously rigorous academics, a historically great volleyball program. What does it kind of mean to you just to be able to wear that USC on your chest?
Oh, it's a huge blessing just to be able to wear a USC jersey every season. And I didn't know how big of a deal it was until I got there and how big of a deal it was to really be a part of the Trojan family. And I think our coaching staff, shows us every day what it truly means to be a Trojan. And, there's so many other athletes walking around, so many other students walking around with just the standard to be great. And that's what I love the most about being a USC student athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just internationally, it's just a well-renowned school, and there's just so much respect when you talk about USC. And obviously, like you said, it's high academics, lots of high standards, and yeah, it's just been really cool to be a part of there's such a dynasty that there is at USC. And, you know, we talk about the Olympics, and there's majority, I think we have like the most Olympians out of all like the schools, but I can't remember. But tons of Olympians, and there's just so much respect and just amazingness that comes with being a USC student athlete. So
I know one of the reasons why you went to USC is because you want to be on this side as a sports broadcaster. Are you taking any classes that give you the reps in front of the camera?
So I don't know exactly what my schedule is going to look like yet, but I am studying like digital media management, something along those lines. And I think just being in LA outside of just USC, and like there's tons of connections down there, and lots of opportunity in the city itself. And yeah, I'm just super excited to see what this opportunity brings.
Well, Allie, you're a natural on camera. Mia, you are as well, so maybe think about that as well. But thank you guys so much for your time today, Allie and Mia. It's been so much fun getting to know you and getting to know USC volleyball. Welcome to the Big Ten, and I hope you have a great rest of Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you. Appreciate
Back to you, Rick.
Keegan Cook, Keegan, always great to see you. I'm guessing that things feel a lot different heading into year two for so many reasons than heading in to year one, including at home, a 2-month-old. How crazy has your summer been?
Yeah, it's been a full and short summer, full of love and fun and low on sleep, I'd say, but enjoying it a lot.
And also, obviously, getting ready for another new. Last year was new for you after the move from Washington. Now Washington and 3 other schools joining the league. So what were your first thoughts about an 18-team conference, what the schedule would look like, how it affects your non-conference, and the general picture being so much different in year two in Minneapolis?
I was excited for everyone involved. You know, it was something that I'd hoped for in my time at Washington, that they would get the opportunity to join this conference. And so when it finally happened, I was celebrating for them. It's great for the Big. It's great for volleyball nationally to have those 4 programs join us. And it's great for Minnesota. I'm excited to share these venues with our athletes and with our fans and watch where this thing goes.
You do have such a unique perspective. There's been a lot of folks talking about when they watched Pac-12 volleyball, when they watched Big Ten volleyball, to the television eye, it looked a little different. You coached it. You were there on the sidelines. You did the same with Minnesota last year. So is that more of something of a myth, or is that an actual truth?
I think the pace of the schedule is what caught me off guard just in the Big Ten. It's day after day. You're moving pretty quick, and that'll just get more intense here now, having to travel out west. But for the fans, it's a huge win. For the players, it's a win. These communities are going to love meeting each other and competing against each other.
Do you try not to envision what a run through this league will feel like when you're done at the end of November and hopefully playing into the NCAA tournament?
If you're doing this right, you're probably living 3 days at a time, right? Is it a practice day, a travel day, a match day? And it's a nice narrow focus, right? I get to be in the 2 most important spaces right now, in the gym with my team, at home with my family. There's not much room for anything else, and I'm enjoying that.
What's this like for you and your players? I understand before coming here into the studio, the one stop was the TikTok stop, and I know Brad Keller was telling me his players were trying to get him in the TikTok, and he was refusing. Where do you stand on joining in the TikTok video?
Yeah, you couldn't find me in the building probably. I was hiding somewhere. I'm sure our players did a wonderful job, and our SID probably stood in for me and took the shot. But yeah, that's not my expertise. I leave that to the athletes.
That's what the head coach gets to do, right? One of the few decisions that you can make completely unilaterally.
Yeah, hire well. That's what you got to do.
Let's talk about some of the players that you brought here. Lydia Grote is here as one of your player reps. She was all Big Ten second team a year ago. She had 15 matches with at least 10 kills, such a solid offensive player. But she also had 3 with at least 10 digs, and she also had 33 service aces. So you're talking about a really well-rounded player. Lydia is that. What's most impressive about her skill set?
You can put her anywhere on the court, really, and then she's going to score for you. She can hit along the net. I think what's impressed me this spring is just how well-rounded she's become as a 6th rotation player. Her passion to be great at every skill shows up every single day. And so, yeah, we've challenged her a lot this spring. I think she's answered that challenge, and I'm excited to see her in a few days.
As we got to watch some of her highlights there, how does a player that is already at that caliber continue to get better year after year?
Yeah, I think you're always trying to push the ceiling of who they are. You know, for Lydia, that's scoring the ball, particularly out of system. And then also having just a little more consistency. You talked about nights where she would have 10-plus kills. We think she can do that almost every night. And I think when players start to show up the same way every night is when it gets really fun.
I love watching McKenna Wucherer and her swing. She just seems so physically imposing when she comes down and gets the ball exactly where she wants it. How much room for growth is there still in her game?
Yeah, we're not even close, and we're halfway.
That's a scary thought for other coaches.
Yeah, it's a scary thought, for everyone, I think. And it's motivating for her, motivating for me. This is a big year for her, and she knows it. I know it. We talk about it. I'm excited for her to be connected to her team, to be really composed in a big moment, and to be courageous like she always is, and take some big rips in the most important moments. And she's done the work.
She's certainly one of them, but how do you describe the outside that you see night in and night out in this conference and the ability to score the ball?
Yeah, that's probably where the excellence shows up, right? Is when things are going poorly, can you make the right decisions? Can you be courageous? Can you be physical? And the Big Ten has it.
Keegan, we're going to take a closer look at your schedule coming up in just a little bit, but I looked quickly at the non-con, and obviously Stanford and Texas jump out. Baylor is also there. There certainly could be a reason for coaches to schedule easier now in the non-con. You obviously do not have that philosophy. Why?
Yeah, I think we have more balance than we had last year. Last year, I think we learned a lot. We went through another grueling non-conference. Doesn't give a lot of room for recovery. Doesn't leave a lot of room for development. So I think you'll see more balance. You'll still see some very high-end matches in our conference, but also some opportunities for us to teach and coach within competition. And so I think this is a little bit more of a mature schedule for our group, and it fits them pretty well.
Brad Keller told me something really interesting. He said, coaches right now are not thinking about the 500 rule and how it's going to affect NCAA tournament bids moving forward, they need to be thinking about it, because you have to be 500 if you're going to play a non-conference like this and then get into this league. It is so tough. What kind of conversations need to be had, whether it's more about the RPI than it just is a 500 record when it comes to NCAA tournament selection, to kind of make the playing field even and to make that tournament hosting the best 64 teams in the country?
Yeah, there's some work to be done in the format, and I was doing a lot of that work in years past with the AVCA, trying to move the needle a little bit. And I think the Big Ten is helping lead those conversations. I'm not in them anymore. I'm happy to be back on campus with my team, being a little more focused. But, making the tournament is not the standard in Minnesota. Playing the last weekend is. And so that's where my energy is right now.
One of the other things that coaches have to focus on is what's coming down the road and exactly what the revenue sharing looks like, how it affects budgets for non-revenue sports, how it affects every player that you're trying to recruit. I know you are, as you said, focused on the next 3 days or the first 3 matches, but it's a reality. So how do you deal with it as a coach with something that you know is coming, but you don't know exactly in what form it's coming?
Yeah, I made a big decision to go to a university that values volleyball at the highest level, in a conference that supports it at the highest level. All the things that happen on a lower level from that, I just take trust in who hired me and why they brought me here. And so, yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty, but put yourself with good people with good values, and the rest will take care of itself. And the rest is for you guys to discuss and have fun with. But I'm where I'm supposed to be with who I'm supposed to be with, and I love coming to work every day.
I think you may be the first person to ever combine fun and conversations about revenue sharing and where it's going right now on this set. There's no question that one thing that has changed, and for the good, is the popularity of this sport. I would say probably over the last 5 to 10 years, maybe the biggest growth, along with women's basketball, that we've seen in any college sport in decades. What do you think are the biggest reasons, and how do we continue to keep that on the upward rise?
Yeah, collective effort is what I think. In this day and age, there's such a celebration of just the individual and their own individual efforts. I think the Big Ten Conference has stayed committed together to make the sport great. I think the teams are doing a great job, the institutions. It takes more than just one person, and we're just beginning, and I hope everyone's ready for what's coming next.
I'm curious, in those AVCA meetings and when you're talking with other coaches, how much conversation is there about playing non-conference games like this, not just because of what it means to your team and to get your team ready, but because of what it means for the sport? Because there are a lot of other sports, you take football, these major schools will play one really good non-conference games and play 2 games in most occasions where they feel like they are big-time favorites. In volleyball, that doesn't happen. Is that a concerted effort amongst coaches and programs?
Yeah, it is. And every head coach has to decide, am I going to do what's just best here, or am I going to do what's best for the sport and these athletes long term? But I've got a lot more coaching to do, and I get to work with a lot more athletes. I'm closer to the beginning of my career than the end, and so I'm trying not to make any short-term decisions, and So yeah, our schedule reflects that.
What's the best part about your job on a daily basis?
Yeah, the growth of the young people. I mean, the way they surprise you, the way they change, the way they show up for each other. Probably the quickest answer I can give you. They are the best part. We've been in a people phase here now for 18 months. You know, we've added 12 players in 18 months. That's one every 6 weeks. You know, and we've gotten to really get connected to the athletes that were already here when we got here, and now we're ready to do some of the volleyball work.
Conversely, what's the toughest part of your job on a daily basis?
Besides your interview, no, I think.
Come on now.
Change is hard for everyone. Transition is the hardest thing we do. Transition, especially with people in our life, is the hardest thing we do. Our players just went through that. I went through that. There's a difference between coaching and managing. You know, last year was a lot of managing, and for the last, I'd say 6 months, it's been coaching. I'm a coach. I'm not a manager, and I'm really thrilled to be working with who I'm working with.
What do you think about when you think about the other coaches in this league, and you think about the success and the long-term success of guys like John Cook and Dave Shondell, so many others?
Yeah, just the power of compound interest, you know, of stacking good days, of hiring good people, recruiting good players. There's nothing special about a good day, but you have a lot of good days in a row and you have a pretty great life. They've learned that, they've lived that, and we're in that process right now.
Have you, in your career, tried to model it after anyone?
I've had lots of mentors, but I think the best mentors told me that you have to be authentic and sincere to yourself, and that's hard to do, especially when you've worked with great people. You can find yourself sounding like some of your former bosses, but the longer I do this, the more I stay authentic and sincere to who I am.
And that means that you have a better understanding, right, of what you want your culture to be each and every day in your team room. If I were to ask your players, and maybe Elena and Holly will ask them, what exactly are you asking them to understand and embrace as your culture?
Ooh, that's good. I almost would want to let you ask that, and then I'll stand on the side and hear what they have to say. But, you know, we came back...
You know, you don't have to go anywhere when they start the interview. You can stay right here.
Yeah, you know, we came back in January, and after the break, and I asked them, I said, what are some of our program values? And a little surprisingly, they had all of them named by the end of that meeting without any kind of help from me. And it was a sign that, okay, we've moved the needle a little bit, and they're ready now for more. And so that was a big moment on that first day back.
How close did that make you feel to this team being a team that's ready to be a player-led program more than a coach-led program? Because most coaches will tell you those are the teams that can win national championships.
Yeah, good teams have good coaches, great teams have great leaders. You know, women lead women is what I kind of always tell our athletes. And they've been in that process this summer. You know, we're about to make it a little more official here as we join together. But I know they're doing the work. I'm getting the phone calls unsolicited from the athletes. They're asking the questions they should be asking about leadership and values. And so all things are pointing in the right direction.
Let's finish here. I know you said that just making the NCAA tournament is never the standard in Minneapolis. The standard is a deep run. So when 2024 is all said and done, in your estimation, what will make this year successful?
Yeah, I'd like to see a connected group on that second weekend. And from there, anything can happen. You know, if you're in that second weekend of the tournament and you're connected to what you're doing and who you're doing it with, there's no limit to what you can do. You can find yourself playing that last weekend. I know that, and I know this group can do it.
Well, that's the second weekend of the NCAA tournament that Keegan's talking about. I think we'll know something about your team after the first weekend of the regular season. Keegan Cook, always great to catch up. Wish you and the Gophers the best of luck in 2024. But don't just trust me. We can show you actual pictures because that first weekend includes Stanford and Texas. Yes, back-to-back. That's when you know you are off to a start that will show you a lot about what your team is capable of in 2024. And then you get to dive into the Big Ten schedule. No, it does not get any easier all the way through the end of the year. Late in the season, a road trip to Lincoln on November the 14th. All right, Keegan told us a little bit about Lydia and McKenna. For more, back to Elena and Holly.
Thank you so much, Rick. Holly and I are joined this time by Minnesota student athletes Lydia Grote and McKenna Wucherer. Lydia and McKenna, we're so excited to have you here today. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. What has been your favorite part so far of the day? We know you've been to a couple stations. This one will probably be your favorite after, but so far, what's been your best station?
I think really just seeing all of the athletes and talking to the coaches and seeing everyone's perspective has been really cool. But I think the TikTok station was pretty fun.
Honestly, it's just an amazing opportunity to be here, and it's just so cool to see what the Big Ten has in store for these volleyball athletes and amazing people as well. But I would say my favorite station is Lydia's at the net.
Ooh, can't wait to see it. Lydia, you had some, I guess, prior knowledge of what Keegan Cook was like as a coach because your sister played for him at Washington. What did she tell you that made you want to come play for him at Minnesota?
She told me that he's a coach who cares so much about his players and he cares about our well-being just as much as he cares about us on the court. And that was something I was really, really looking for when I was making the transfer change, and just seeing how much he puts into us and then really just with us every day and talking to us constantly. It's really awesome.
McKenna, your coach talked about you guys being in the people phase the last 18 months. What does that look like, building your culture, and what did you learn?
Yeah, I said this earlier, but our team culture is the best it's ever been in the last 3 years. And I think this summer we've done a really good job of connecting a lot more off the court, and that really transfers on the court. But we're really focusing on the people we have here and the athletes we have. And our level of play has elevated so much. Our summer open gyms have been insane, whether who it is on the court. It's been incredible to be a part of.
Who are your vocal leaders in the gym on those summer courts?
I think Lydia is one of them. She's more of a kind of quiet leader, but she'll be in your face when you get a good kill. Like, she's honestly one of the, I kind of call her the Energizer Bunny. Like, if you get a good kill, like, she's going to be celebrating for you. But I think Lydia is a very well-spoken and more reserved leader, and I think that is really beneficial for our team.
Thank you. Lydia, we saw you break out onto the scene last year in this conference. It was so fun to watch you, always stepping up and getting kills when your team needed it. What have you been focusing on this spring and summer? Any parts of your game that you're really trying to hone in on before this season?
Yeah, I think a big goal for this spring for me was just working on out-of-system attacking, and so I think I've definitely made improvements, but there's so much more to come with fall camp starting later this week. And then also just blocking. I've been working really hard on reading the game and seeing attackers well.
McKenna, you led the team offensively, and we asked your coach how much more growth you have, and he said you're not even close to how good you can be. That's scary. What areas are you looking to improve in the gym?
I've worked on my receive game a lot. Like, Keegan will probably tell you that when I first came here, I was like very shy and reserved in that aspect, and we do passing school every single day. And I could probably only receive 5 balls when I first got here, but now I'm staying in it for very long periods of time. So I'll go in the gym to get extra reps. And defense just wins games. So you can stay on the court for all 6 rotations if you can do all the skills. So I've really been working on my receive and my defense. And then on offense, just working on mixing in shots. I know I'm a very big power hitter, so just working on those off speeds.
This Minnesota program obviously has some key returners, you two included, but you have some new faces. And we heard your coach talk a little bit about kind of what you're working on with your culture. So we're going to put you on the spot now. When you guys came into that meeting and you talked about your culture, what is Minnesota's volleyball's culture?
I think we talk about our values. We talk a lot about people values volleyball. The first 2 come before the volleyball. In order to play a good volleyball game, we have to have the people and the values all aligned. So we've been working on that and just staying together. And then I think we got some new additions to the program, which are fun and loud and just almost like a refresher and new change, and this kind of got us all on our toes a little bit. Yeah, I would say culture wins games. I mean, like, I think just having a really good atmosphere on the court is obviously going to translate on the court, and how we perform off the court and get along off the court is going to convey on the court. So I think just being able to sit down and have a conversation with someone. I know Lydia and I grab coffee every single week, and I think those like little interactions off the court really help us on the court.
I know Keegan Cook from his days at Washington, he puts a lot of focus on serving. How much more time are you serving in the gym than you did in previous years?
Every single day. Every single day, that's where we warm up. I agree. It's our warm up. We spend 20 minutes just serving, and then we go into serve and pass, and it's so key in all of our games that we play, and we work a lot on it.
We had some new schools joining the conference this year, of course, which we're super excited about. This conference is just going to get better, as you guys know. No night is ever an easy night in the Big Ten. But with these new 4 schools, are any of them you most excited to play against, play at? Just give me some insight when you found out those 4 teams were joining the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to play at the LA schools. I'm an LA native, so I get to see my friends and my family, and I grew up attending matches there, so just sort of getting to play there feels almost like a home court, so home away from home here at Minnesota.
I was so excited to see all 4 of them join. I mean, obviously, every single year they're national championship contenders and Pac-12 championship contenders. So just having them in the Big Ten, obviously you said there's no nights off, and we really can't obviously sit back on our toes and like, oh, this is going to be an easy match because every team's coming for us.
A common theme that we've heard is the difference between the West Coast schools. You played in the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. Can you describe that difference because you've seen and played both?
Yeah, so I would say the West Coast schools are a lot more focused on shots and different skills and techniques and things.
And then I would say the Big Ten is a lot more power, a lot more hard hitters, and just high energy and everything. So the difference is pretty stark, but it's exciting to see new teams joining and see how it will change the conference play.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make going from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten?
Oh gosh. I think just, every single night is a toss-up. In the Pac-12, we had our teams and every team was fighting for a chance to win, but in the Big Ten, it's every single game. You don't know who's going to win, and I love that level of competition.
We love getting to know you guys as volleyball players, but also people. That's the best part of playing the sport, is getting to be friends with your teammates. Can you let us know a little bit, what do you guys do off the court? What does your team look like just as people off the court, personality-wise?
So, we do a lot of things off the court together. We've gone to concerts, we go to all sorts of outdoor events. We love playing beach volleyball together. It's just sort of outside, it's a change, but it's still fun. We spend time with each other, and we do sort of a lot of things outside the court. So,
yeah, like birthday dinners, going to Twins games. What else do we do?
I mean, I've taken people hiking. I like to get people out of the house, so things like that.
I love that you guys play beach volleyball. Where do you play beach volleyball in Minnesota?
Well, we used to have courts on campus, but we don't have those anymore because they're building a new gymnastics facility, which we love. The gymnastics team deserves their facility.
Yeah.
But there are some parks and stuff where you can reserve courts, and we love doing that.
And who's the best?
I don't think we have the best because we don't have a beach team.
Well, no, I know, but from indoor to beach, there's no
I'd say
place.
we're all pretty good. Yeah. We're really scrappy.
Okay, I like that.
Are we going to see that scrappiness on the court this season?
Oh, 100%.
What can fans expect to see when they turn on the TV and they're watching Minnesota volleyball, or they're coming into the gym? What can fans expect to see this year?
I'm going to say a lot of grit. Like, we're not going to ever be counted out. We're going to go for every single ball. We're going to communicate a lot. We've been really working on that this spring. It's just the level of communication we have with each other on the court. And that's going to help in the end when we make it to the final national championship run. And that last week, that's our goal.
Yeah. We're pushing each other all the time in open gyms, even without coaches there. We're talking about how much louder can we be, how much harder can we work. And I think we're going to see it a lot this fall. We're not going to be losing rallies because we're letting the ball drop. It's going to be off of good swings from the other team, tools off the block and things.
In the Big Ten, now with the 4 new programs, is there any venue you're looking forward to playing in outside of yours?
I think the Galen Center at USC is pretty cool. It's such an iconic arena, so getting to play there again one last time would be really cool.
I also said USC earlier in the day. I just think the court is very bright, and then seeing the stands and how it's a little dimmer in the stands, and the court is just right in the middle and it's shining, lights are shining. And also just playing in California I think is really cool. They have always bring a lot of fans, and just that whole atmosphere I'm super excited for.
Okay, one final question for the both of you. I would love to hear just your favorite thing about being a Minnesota student athlete, whether it's academic-wise, on the court, being with your teammates. What makes you love being a Gopher?
Oh gosh, there are so many things. It's so hard to pick, but I would say just that there's so much community behind all of our sports teams. I can be out at dinner and people know oh, you're on the volleyball team, and they know how hard we work, and they say you guys are just an inspiration to little kids, and seeing club teams and everything. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've been committed here since 8th grade, and I'm stuck to that ever since, and I'm so happy I did. Just the family atmosphere is something that is unmatched, and obviously volleyball is going to end one day, and you have to be able to manage yourself as a person as well, and our coaching staff does a really good job of developing us as people and not athletes, so I'm really blessed to have that.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time today. We can't wait to watch you play this season. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of Big Ten Media Days. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Rick.
Late last week, I feel like we're becoming tight, and you haven't even played a match yet in the Big Ten.
I'm here for it. Let's do it. Let's just keep getting to know each other better.
Absolutely. I think that is the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also grew up in the Chicago suburbs, about probably 20, 25 minutes from where I live now. Your mom still coaches at Carthage, just over the border in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So how surreal is it for you to come back here knowing that you're coaching an Oregon team that's now part of the Big Ten?
Yeah, I didn't tell anybody I'd be here right now, so this might ruin the surprise, and I might get some angry texts. But it's a quick trip, But no, it's amazing to be able to come back and see family. And again, I've been gone for about 20 years, so it's cool to show them what I've been doing,
So you don't think now there's a big Ulmer contingent hopping in the car and trying to fight traffic on the way down
They
the
might be
Kennedy
trying to figure out the address right now.
before you guys take off?
We'll see what traffic's like, but they might hit us
Well,
on the
if
way.
they're trying to get through the traffic on the Kennedy and the Edens, don't worry, they're not going to get here in time.
Oh, that's not a bad idea, because then maybe we don't have to Uber to the airport. Maybe
There
they
you
could
go.
that could be the moment.
See, this is the great thinking that's got
Yes.
you guys to back-to-back Elite Eights the last couple of years. The great thing, listen, about those trips is that nobody can take those banners away. It's something that you've accomplished. Usually the bad news means that you had a great nucleus and you lose some of that nucleus. So how different will the team that we see in 2024 look from the one that we saw the last couple of years?
Well, we graduated 7, and all 7 got pro contracts. They all play professionally, which is amazing, and I'm so happy for them. But yeah, what could that do to, this next year's group? But we had, there was days when, the other side of practice was winning, when we would scrimmage. And, we have a really dynamic group that I think has just been chomping at the bit, waiting for their turn. And then we added a few transfers that will come in and I think give us a little bit more seniority there, so hopefully blend. And then Daley McClellan comes back and Mimi Collier, so from who played most minutes. So I think there's a lot to be discovered, but I think the pieces are there. So it's just, can this coach not screw it up and put it together?
Certainly a lot to be discovered for you, for the other 3 newcomers, for the 14 teams that were here before August 2nd as well, because everything becomes a little bit different. How do you try to convince your team or sell to your team that, yes, this is a big-time challenge and it is different, but it's a fantastic opportunity?
I don't think I've had to, and I guess we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But, they know what this is, and I think that's why they want to come to Oregon. Even before, like, we've been trying to win championships, and the people that come to Oregon, they want to come to be their best. That doesn't change, and this only enhances, those opportunities for them. So, I think they knew what they were getting into when they decided to come to Oregon, and now I think it's just, we just raised the level even more. So I think everybody's just ready to get going, and we're a little bit of guinea pigs this year, but I think we're excited to do that and have this opportunity.
I think you played about as much Big Ten opposition as anybody not in this league a year ago. Played 5 matches against the Big Ten. You ended up 3-2. 2 of those matches were in the NCAA tournament. Great win against Purdue before the loss to Wisconsin to end the year. And I've been asking a lot of the coaches, especially the West Coast coaches, the question that has been discussed about, is there a big difference in the style of play from what was Pac-12 volleyball to what is Big Ten volleyball? Where do you stand on that?
Well, playing Wisconsin, playing Nebraska, which I feel like we played them in the last few times in the tournament. They're bigger. They maybe the speed of the offense isn't as fast, but they're playing over the top of our block, which we don't see. Stanford would maybe do that for us with a few of their players, but Wisconsin's whole team was playing over the top of us. And that's something that we hadn't seen. And then Nebraska in 2018, when they eliminated us, they had Fecky, among others, that were doing the same thing. So I think that piece is a little different. So I do think there's some defensive tweaks that we're going to have to do, make in order to be, in order to be successful against teams at the very top, that are playing in Final Fours and winning championships. So I think that will be a good test for us. But volleyball's volleyball, but a little bit different style. The big thing for us is going to come down to executing our side. If we do that, we're going to be in every match, just like we have been for the last few years. But yeah, I think there is some change. There's a different side of physicality here. Than consistently, and multiple teams, than what we've been used to.
How do you envision that maybe changing recruiting philosophy, whether it's traditional recruiting or whether it's into the transfer portal? And I know you've had success in the transfer portal, certainly at Oregon.
It wouldn't hurt us to get a little bit more size, even though last year I think every one of our hitters was 6'3" or 6'4" or above. So it's not like we were small, but even then, we were smaller than the other teams. So I think, we keep doing what we're doing. It's working well. But just, again, for us to maybe take that next step, we probably need a little bit more size or, just be able to ball control a little bit more. And the other piece is, like, we're going to have to be gritty. We're going to have to fight. It's definitely not David versus Goliath, but it's definitely, there's big time competition on the other side that's coming after you. And we have to be, we have to want to get in those fights every night in the conference. And I think this group is going to look forward to that. And hopefully our recruiting continues to take us to student athletes that they want that. They want to get in a great match and they want to go be the best that they can be. And luckily, we've been able to do that, and hopefully that just continues.
A transfer could be an impact right away for you. Onye Ofoegbu, who I know last year took a red shirt after the transfer from Irvine, but was an honorable mention All-American during her career there. What do you expect from her? How do you expect her to kind of fit into the roster that she joins?
I don't think I've ever been so excited for volleyball fans to see a player. I mean, people have seen her at Irvine, but probably not as big of a market, as big of a stage. This is someone who I believe can be in the national team gym. She's at 11 feet, and with lightning fast arm, lightning speed, she can move all over the place. Great personality, and just like everybody's drawn to her, So I'm so excited. I hope we control the ball well enough and we can just find ways to get her involved as much as possible. But I've never coached anybody like her. And I don't know if I've seen anybody on the other side like her. The closest comparison I have is Chiaka Ofoegbu, who is with the national team right now. That would be the closest comparison. But I actually think Onye's a little bit higher than her. So I know I built her up, but I know she's ready for it.
Well, we're excited to watch. We're excited to listen, too. She'll be standing by in just a couple of minutes here chatting with
no
Elena
personality. I take it back.
None
She'll
whatsoever.
be really bland and no laugh, no smile.
Yeah, I think is she in here listening right now? Because I think the gauntlet has been tossed down. She knows what she's got to live up to now. Daley's also here. You mentioned her as the heartbeat of this team and a player who is a senior outside, a native Oregonian. What does she mean to your team, not just from a production standpoint, but from that leadership standpoint in the room?
I think stability. Again, we have a lot of new parts, but I think Daley is someone that you can look at and you know that she's going to be there for you every day, and she's stable. And if you ever have any doubts, any questions, any fear, like she can put that down. She can put that to rest for you. I think as a teammate. I think that's what she can bring to the group. We have a lot of big personalities. We need some people that will just kind of make sure we're going in the right direction. And I know that Daley can do that.
Matt, you've had so much success in your time there. Then again, you can look down the halls in the coaches' offices at Oregon, and every single coach that is sitting in those rooms has had unbelievable success. Rob Mullins and I talked in May. He described what it's been like to be the AD during the decade of the duck, as they call it, with every team seemingly winning at the highest of levels. What's the experience been like for you?
Yeah, my first year was 2014, and the first thing I went to was a football game, and that was Marcus Mariota winning the Heisman, and we were in the national championship game. And I said earlier, and Phil Knight's on the field. I'm like, okay, so this is what we're doing. This is what this is. But then, being able to see the Triple Crown with track, women's track, and to see Sabrina UNESCO and the women's team, and again, we could go through every sport. Everybody's had their moments, but just like these really insane, monumental moments that happen at Oregon, and that is just what we do at Oregon. Like it's just we are the best of the best, And so again, to be in the best conference makes sense. But it's been pretty awesome decade that I've been there too.
And I know when I heard Dan Lanning speak, by the way, so impressive during Big Ten football media days, he was talking about the fact that, yes, Oregon is a national brand, but still tucked away a little bit in Eugene, and that the move to the Big Ten really gets to expose what this athletic department and what your program is to such a larger group of people. How excited are you to be able to do that and to bring this Midwest and for you, your home, into their own living rooms to see what you guys are doing up in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, from a recruiting standpoint, I always said if I can just get someone to campus, they're going to come. Like, how could you not want to go to Oregon once you actually see what this thing is about? But I just think more of America. I had never been to Oregon until my official visit, to be an assistant coach. I went up there and I was like, what is this place? And how have I not known about it? And I think I assume that's what a lot of people are going to feel when they come for the first time. But it really is, and especially if you're a sports fan. If you're a sports fan, it is just something to behold. And I'm excited for just fans of other programs to be able to come. I'm excited for the other teams, other coaches that haven't been there yet to see it, because they're going to really enjoy it.
I know there's no such thing really as time off for summers anymore in major college sports, but you're officially back into it shortly after you leave here. So for you and this team, before you get ready for a really challenging non-con, it's Pitt, right, to start things off, one of the best teams in the nation for the past 5-10 years. What do you and the staff want to make sure you have dotted and buttoned up before you get set for match one?
We're going to go to Sun River. We're going to do a little bit of team bonding as a group. I think that'll be important. Again, new faces. Make sure everybody's on the same page with what we're up against and what we're going to be doing. So I think that will be important for us. We haven't really done that before, but I think it's the right time to do that. And then just to get in the gym, and I think just for everybody to understand the style of which we play, how quickly can we get everybody on the same page, so that we have really good rhythm by the time that we face Pittsburgh. And I think, every coach, you're trying to figure out the rhythm of your team, and that's what we're tasked with over the next couple of weeks. But I think it's going to be a fun couple of weeks. I'm really looking forward to it.
I think coaches are also trying to figure out, and we'll finish here, the scheduling and what you do in the non-con with this league. Do you now shorten that? Do you try not to schedule your non-con until as late as possible, knowing what you have, especially travel-wise, for the 4 West Coast schools inside a league with 18 teams?
Yeah, I mean, this year we tried to stay more regional, than we have, just because until we know really what this thing's about travel-wise, just to make sure that we can make that adjustment and adapt. But you really can't wait that long, because if you want the matches that that are going to set you up for your resume, at the end of the year, you got to go out and find those matches. So I don't know how long we can wait, but I think we found a really good blend for this year of really tough competition, but also not going too far away, because we know we're going to have a few more trips this year. So I think we did what we had to do, and now we just got to go play our best.
All right. And speaking of those trips, remember, you promised me last time we talked, when you come back to Chicago and you're taking the team on the culinary tours,
you're coming,
that I'm on the bus.
Yeah. Did you send me your number?
I'm going to get that done after
Okay,
today. I've been
let's get it
prepping
done.
for this interview.
Yeah.
I haven't had
You've
time.
been busy. Okay.
Yeah, we've been a little bit busy. Matt,
That's fine.
awesome to catch
Yeah.
up again.
Thanks. Yeah,
Look
appreciate
forward to
you.
watching you guys
Yeah.
this year.
Thanks.
Talked about that schedule. You can take a look at it right now. I wasn't lying when I said Pitt's very early.
Yeah.
It's August 30th. Oregon State, never easy. That's a regional game, always important when you talk about recruiting as well. That's in late September. And then you see some of the highlights on the Big Ten schedule. You have road trips to Penn State and Wisconsin, home matches against USC, Washington, and Nebraska, among others. All right, let's get to those players. Daley, Onye, you know what has been promised by your head coach. Elena, Holly, let's see if they deliver.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are joined by Daley, McClellan, and Onye Ofoegbu. Welcome to the Big Ten. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. We're so excited to have you both here today. Can't wait to get going with our chat. But first, I would love to hear about just what you felt like when you learned you were joining the Big Ten, and kind of some excitement to be joining this conference.
It's so crazy. It's so exciting, though, because we know volleyball is such a big thing in this conference. And it's just so much more, celebrated, which I love. And volleyball is, growing so much. And that just makes me really excited for my senior year. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Same thing. For my last season, I'm honestly just, really, really excited that we get to be in the Big Ten. That first day when we learned about it, I was happy. I know a lot of people were, about the travel, but I think it's going to be worth it.
Mm-hmm. Daley, lots of new faces on your team this year. Your coach talked about you as the stable influencer. What's your new role like after graduating 7 players?
Yeah, well, I've been here for 3 years. I got a lot of experience. I've played with a lot of different people. And like Onye said earlier, we have a lot of different people coming in this year. And I know that we're just going to mesh well. And so just focusing on our culture and what we want to be and what we want other teams to see in us, that's going to be very important. So just kind of practicing that throughout the season.
Of those 7 players that graduate, a lot of your vocal leaders, who are your vocal leaders now? Are you one of them?
I am. I think everyone is now, and everyone has to step up and be a part of it to make this work. But I think that's what we're going to be practicing as we get in the gym and this preseason. So everyone's going to have to step up.
Onye, your coach talked about you and how excited he is to see you compete this season. High expectations. He's trained and coached a lot of talented players, but he thinks you're going to do some amazing things. What are you looking forward to after having to sit and watch all last year?
I'm just excited to be on the court, to be honest. This is my last college season, so I don't want to set too much expectations on maybe numbers. I'm more so excited to just be on the court with my team and just finally finish out my college career.
You got to spend last season competing against a very good starting team. What did you learn from those veterans?
I learned a lot, especially watching Carson and Kara in the middle. It was a lot to learn, and just seeing the new level and speed that we're playing at. So I'm excited for that.
You graduated a lot of key players from last season, of course. Daley, we just heard a little bit about what you think your role is going to be in the gym this year. But Onye, what do you think your role is going to be with some new faces on the squad and stepping into a bigger role?
Yeah, I think we have a young team, and this is the first time I've ever been the oldest on a team, so that's kind of crazy. So I think my role would just be like maybe try to follow Daley's lead and just be stable, just try to be stable for them.
How familiar are you guys with Big Ten volleyball?
I'm a fan of Big Ten volleyball.
Big fan. Like we love watching just like during season and when we're traveling. We just love watching just like random games, and we're just a huge fan of Big Ten. So
that says a lot, right? You weren't even
and now
in
we're
this
part
conference,
of it, so.
and now you're part of it.
Yeah.
Any venues you're looking forward to competing in?
Wisconsin.
Yes, Wisconsin for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we can't wait to watch you guys play this season, and I will be having that match circled on my calendar for sure. I'm sure you guys do as well. Give us a little bit of a look inside of your gym. If we were to walk into Oregon Volleyball's gym, what does it look like? What's your culture like inside the gym?
Yeah. I think everyone is just super happy to be there. Like, I know everyone wants to work so hard, and we love competing in that gym. Like, it's so competitive. Like, and there's no A and B side. Like, sides are beating each other. Like, any given day, it's just so competitive. So I think it's going to be a really big thing for us to grow that this season.
You had a bunch of leaders last year. Do you think they left that Oregon culture in a better place? And are you guys ready to take it to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Obviously, Oregon Volleyball is a very successful program, back-to-back Elite Eights. What are the keys going into this season with kind of a new look Oregon Volleyball? What have your main focuses been in the gym this spring and summer to prepare yourself for the season?
I think a big focus for us is just doing your job. Everyone has their job on the court, and whether it's on the bench, on the court, doesn't matter. You're doing your job, and that's how we get the job done. So.
And how do you define your roles? Is that from your coach, from your teammates? How do you define your role on the team?
Both, yeah. Communication-wise as well. Yeah.
We've talked about culture. What does your culture look like? Do you have pillars? Do you have a motto that you guys keep reverting back to?
I think right now we're just mostly a high energy team, so we like to use that energy for good and like use it to motivate each other. And also a big thing for us is just accountability. Like, you know, we all have our own roles on the team, so it helps to trust each other that each other is like, you know, doing their roles.
What do you guys like to do off the court?
I feel like we eat out a lot.
We go out to eat a lot.
We try a lot of
food
spots.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Good, you'll have to give us the tips for Eugene.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Any favorites?
Wingstop.
That's a classic.
Okay.
That's a classic one. What's your favorite part about playing for Coach Ulmer? We just heard him talk to Rick Pizzo a little bit, but would love to hear from you guys having a couple years under your belt now. What's your favorite part of being on his team?
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay. I would say when I first stepped into this program as a freshman, I just immediately felt welcomed. And I immediately felt like I was a part of the family. Like, we went to dinner my freshman year at Matt's place, and we were playing with his kids, we were playing games. Like, it just felt like I was supposed to belong there, so, yeah.
I was gonna say one thing that I really enjoy about playing for Matt is he does not try to change you. He recruits you for who you are, and then you play as who you are, which is kind of different than some coaches. And I really enjoy that because I feel like I get to be myself on this team, and like I don't feel like any of my teammates are pressured to like fit a mold when you're like working with Matt, so that's really nice.
What excites you the most about these new players on the floor for Oregon?
They're obviously very skilled, and I just know I'm just so excited for us to all mesh together, and it's going to be super great. I think we have some great personalities too, great leaders, so yeah, when all of that comes together, I'm going to be super excited for it.
You guys might not know this, but what does this Sun River bonding event look like?
It's going to be all of us, the entire team and staff, in an Airbnb.
One house.
With like a million rooms, and we have a lot of fun stuff planned. Hopefully we'll do karaoke.
Oh, are you a karaoke pro?
Yeah. Oh, am I a karaoke pro?
Yeah.
Something like that.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Promiscuous. Promiscuous girl.
duo.
Okay, we won't make you sing it now. But if you guys do sing it, we will want to get the video. So
Okay.
we can listen in on that. One last question. What makes playing at Oregon volleyball so special? Just being an Oregon student athlete. It can be academic-wise, the culture, environment, or just playing on this team. What's your favorite part of being an Oregon student athlete?
I like our fans. I think we have a huge sports culture at Oregon, so it's really nice to like feel supported by like our fans, and like we know that there's people that like care, which is great.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. We can't wait to watch you play this season. Welcome to the Big Ten, and enjoy the rest of your day at Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you so much.
John Cooks at the start year 25 with the Huskers. John, always great to see you. And before we do look ahead to this year, and I know you're really excited for the roster that you have, I think we have to start by looking back at last year. And I started our Media Days coverage by saying I thought the year was defined by the number 92,003. And I don't want us to ever forget, as the years go past and we get further away from that event, what Volleyball Day at Nebraska meant to your program, to this sport, and to women's sport as a whole. How often do you still think about it?
I think about it all the time, because everywhere we go, it comes up and people are still talking about it. And of course, you see videos and clips from it all the time on social media. And I still get chills. I think it was a defining moment for women's sports. And I think we've all seen since that moment what happened in women's athletics over the course of the past year. And for Nebraska, I think it's a sign of pride that we did this. And it's a world record, and Huskers love it.
I loved hearing you say this is the only place that this could happen, and every single one of those 92,003 certainly agreed with you. The offseason gets shorter every year, I know, but I'm sure after doing this for as long as you've been doing it, you understand you have to recharge during the summer. I'm going to guess here that most of your recharge time was spent either on a horse, at a ranch, or at a rodeo. How close is that guess to reality?
You're right on the money. It wasn't at the beach. It wasn't, going to Paris or whatever. It was those three things right there. And I think it's really important. And one of the things I talk about, you got to have a hobby if you're in a high-level performing type job. And so I found this horse thing, and it's kind of just gone crazy from there.
We're seeing pictures of it right now, living proof.
Where are we?
That there is visual proof right there.
That's the Burwell Rodeo. I'd never been to Burwell, Nebraska before, but it is the oldest rodeo in America. This is the 103rd year of this rodeo, and it is a happening in the middle of the sandhills of Nebraska. And I had a great time there, and what I discovered was those people bleed Husker out there. They love Husker sports, and the fact that one of the Nebraska coaches went and spent 4 days out there with them was a really big deal.
I remember asking you last year then if you defined yourself with your beach background as more of a beach bum or a cowboy, and you said it's not even close, I'm a cowboy. So now the follow-up to that is, are you a cowboy trapped in a coach's body, or are you a coach trapped in a cowboy's body?
The last 3 months I've been a cowboy trapped in however you say that. I've been a cowboy more than a coach, but now I put everything away, and now it's full-blown coaching from here on out, for the next 6 months or whatever it is. So, but I had a great time with it, and it's a great hobby, and I met so many really cool people. But the thing that I really try to communicate with everybody is working with these horses and riding these horses has made me a better coach, because you have to earn the trust of that horse, and you got to get him to do what you want him to do, and you can't really talk to him. Although I do think they understand English, some of them. And so for me, I'm approaching coaching my teams the same way. We got to build that trust. We've got to work together, and it's just really, really important. And when you do that, it's awesome.
And it's a team that worked together so well a year ago, and you return so much of that team. I know the expectations are in Lincoln every year to win a national championship. I'm not sure they can be any higher than they are this year with the roster that you have coming back. How do you approach a year like this when you're so deep, you're so experienced, and you also bring in a transfer who, by the way, 2 years ago was the Big Ten Player of the Year in Taylor Landfair?
Yeah, and what I've discovered over the years is, and now with college athletics changing, is you almost have to reinvent every year. I got to reinvent our coaching staff, I got to reinvent myself, and I got to reinvent the team, because there's so much change going on with the portal and all that. Yeah, do we have the talent to compete? Yes, but we still have to become a great team, and that's on our players, it's on our culture, it's on our captains, and then our work ethic, and then how are we going to handle the big moments. And I think our team is pretty motivated because even though we lost the national championship, there was a lot of learning that went on in that, and we've got to learn from that and use that as motivation. If we would have lost in 5 by 2, then everybody's, well, it was a great season, tough break. But the way we played has been burning in our players and my coaches.
I know it's a problem that most coaches would like to have, but sometimes when you have so much talent, especially an overload of talent at one specific position, the problem becomes there's only one volleyball on the court. So in the past, when you've had teams with this kind of talent, how have you figured out that part of the chemistry?
It's every year's an adventure, and again, it comes back to culture, and it's about Nebraska volleyball, and it's about our team, and how are we going to become this great team that plays what I call ultimate trust. And it's not something you just make up. It's just not something you just talk about. It has to happen and evolve, and that's our job as coaches, is to help them develop that. And we've been here before, and there's been years that we haven't been expected to do anything, and we've had great years. And there's years where we've been expected to do it, and we've blown it. So I've gone through both, and so that's one of the things about as you get older, you have more experience. So I feel like we got a pretty good handle on it. But we're going to get tested, and it's this Big Ten schedule now is a really challenging, competitive schedule, which is going to be fun. For you guys, the media, the fans, it's going to be fun. For coaches, it's going to be stressful.
You have 5 players in the preseason all Big Ten team. Could have easily had 6 had Lindsay Krause not gotten injured, cut her year short a year ago. I know she's here as one of your player reps. When healthy, what can she provide for your team?
Well, she showed us last year that, we switched her to the left side. First 2 years she played right side, and she showed us that she could really dominate, not only attacking, but also serving. She's a great server, and she was putting up numbers that were very rare for any Nebraska player or anybody in the Big Ten. And then she was injured and had a really tough injury. So she's really worked hard to come back. She had a great spring, and like I said, we have a lot of individual players that should be very motivated. She would be one of them.
Kennedi is also with you, a player who has been, and I say this in the most positive way, something of a utility player and effective in those roles and that specific format. What kind of jump can you expect from her this year? How much more of a role will you expect her to play this season?
Well, one thing I look for is last week we did our performance index test, and she tested higher than she's ever tested. So that told me she's worked harder than she ever has, and she just went to another level physically. Kennedi is kind of the heart and soul of our team as a leader, as a teammate, and she'll do whatever role we ask her, and in whatever side of the net she's on in practice, she just elevates it, whatever we have her do. There's times where I think she could be a hitter. She's just a great all-around volleyball player who can do a lot of things really well, and that's one of the reasons I wanted her to experience this and show her how much respect we have for what she's done for our program and our team, and what a great teammate she is.
I think she might be in there. I think I may have heard a chuckle when you said that she could maybe be a hitter as well. I think that may have actually been coming from her.
That'll be on the way home. Coach, you're going to let me hit. Let's go. I'm ready to go.
But then you did it. It's your own fault because you're the one that threw out the suggestion.
Yeah.
We certainly know that Merritt Beeson is a player who can do that, who came in last year and just lit it up. She is a unanimous All Big Ten preseason selection this year, will certainly be in the running for National Player of the Year. How much room does she still have to grow?
That was a big talk in the spring with her is, okay, you're already at this first team All-American level. How are you going to go up another notch? And I use the analogy of Usain Bolt. Okay, he breaks the world record. Is he going to do it every time? No, but he's working to try to break it again. And for her, it was some little things that we could tweak with her to help her be a better attacker, better blocker, better passer, all those things. She worked really hard, had a great spring. So I think she's one of those players that's kind of blooming late in her career, which is kind of fun to see. And that's how it was in the old days. We used to redshirt everybody and watch them develop. But these guys play so much volleyball now. But she's kind of a late bloomer, and I'm excited to see. She had a great summer with USA team this summer, and but she's worked really hard on refining her game.
When folks ask me about places to go watch different sporting events in the Big Ten, I always say when it comes to volleyball, you have to get to Lincoln to watch a match, and you will not be disappointed. Know you've coached a lot of matches there. Does the feeling ever get old, and are you still at this point kind of blown away by what this fan base does, regardless of who the opponent is in town, regardless of whether you're on a win streak or a losing streak? You know what that building is going to be.
Yes, I think it's one of the best places to play volleyball in the world as a facility with our fan base. And to give you an example of how they're taking it up a notch, our red-white sold out. So this is a scrimmage we're going to have in a couple of weeks, sold out in about 4 hours. 8,000 people, or almost 9,000 people coming to see the red-white game. And I don't know if we've ever done that before. We've sold it out before, but sold out in 4 hours. It just shows you the excitement level that people have. And again, I think this is an opportunity for people to buy tickets to see us play that maybe we're at that stadium match but don't have season tickets. And so that just shows you the demand. And I think you're going to see that in a lot of Big Ten programs, this ticket demand and people wanting to get in and see matches. And I think you're going to see more and more sellouts as we go down the schedule here.
Yeah, we're seeing attendance records set everywhere, whether it's in East Lansing or other Big Ten schools that traditionally haven't sold out their arenas. They're selling out on a fairly regular basis, regardless of the opponent. Your program, one of those driving the amazing rise in popularity of this sport. Would you have ever believed when you started in this business, coaching, that volleyball would have the television coverage, the media coverage, the access, and the belief in it from a fan base that it has right now?
No, and I can remember when I was coaching at Wisconsin and fighting with the Big Ten, trying to get them to put a match on TV and trying to promote women's volleyball, and it was just, it was kind of an afterthought. And now to see what, and again, you got to give the Big Ten credit for driving all this, because they've done a heck of a job and have really increased it, and have really put women's volleyball on every TV in the country. Everybody has a chance to, whether it's streaming or watching it live, to see women's volleyball in the Big Ten. And adding the 4 new teams from the West Coast is just going to enhance it even more.
So does the non-conference schedule. I talked with Kelly and Dave about this as well. The premier programs refusing to say we are going to play a softer non-con just because our league gets tough. We're going to show your non-con and part of your conference schedule here in just a little bit. But you have Kentucky, you have Creighton, you have Stanford, you have Louisville. I mean, we're talking about the cream of the crop before we get in to the Big Ten schedule. How important has that been to this sport, that the best are playing the best, and how important will it be for that to continue if we want this trajectory to stay in the right direction?
Yeah, and again, you may ask all the coaches at the end of the year if that non-conference
Different
was
answer.
worthy. Yeah. But what we feel, we have great opportunity to play these top teams, and they're going to be televised. It's going to be a big deal. There's going to be huge crowds. We're going to the site of the Final Four twice with Kentucky and then playing Louisville there later. Stanford's coming to Nebraska this year. Creighton's always a great match, and they're going to have probably the best team they've ever had. So all these matches, TV wants it, and they crave it, and I just think it's great exposure for our sport. And it really sets up for the Big Ten Conference once all that starts happening. So this is where it's at, and I think, it's no different in football. Everybody wants to see 2 great teams that aren't in the conference going at it, and I think it's no different in volleyball. So it's going to be exciting for the fans and for you guys.
Well, let's finish here. You brought up all the change in volleyball, in sports as a whole. As long as you've done that, this is probably the most change that we've ever seen in college sports as a whole in a 2 or 3 year period. How are you handling it all within your program? Because a lot of it, especially the revenue sharing, still remains a complete unknown.
You're right, and that is an unknown, and you've got to be ready to adapt, and that's the key for me. But in regards to the new teams coming in and all that, you just said it when we first came on here. You got this new thing that fires you up in here. Okay, this is a new thing that's going to fire coaches up. I mean, we're going to have to go to another level, and it's going to challenge coaches, coaching staffs, and coaches and teams to go to another level. And how are we going to manage the extra travel now, and rest and recovery, and still be student athletes? So to me, I look at this is a really cool challenge, and it's never been done before, so let's go after it and see how it goes. And so it's excited me and energized me, and I think my staff as well.
Sure, the unknown can be as fun as it could be scary, but I think we're looking at a very fun 2024. John, always great to catch up. Truly appreciate the time.
Thank you.
We discussed some of the schedule. I promise you could see it in visual form, and here it is, that Kentucky match, right, to start things off, and then Creighton, John says, maybe the best team the Blue Jays have ever had. Stanford in Lincoln. Pretty sure you're not going to get tickets to that one, folks, if you don't have them already. And then the roadie against Louisville. So many good matches on this schedule, and that is before we get into Big Ten play. But this roster is ready for it, and two of the players that highlight that roster are with Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are back, this time joined by Kennedi and Lindsay Krause from Nebraska Volleyball. Welcome to the studio. Hope you guys have been having so much fun at Big Ten Media Days so far.
Yes.
We just touched on your non-conference schedule, and I'm sure you guys take it one game at a time. But out of those matches, are there any that you're most looking forward to, or you can say all of them, but would love if you have any of them specifically.
For sure, all of them. I'm really excited for Creighton. I always love that game.
Yeah.
It's super fun to play another in-state team, so I'd say Creighton.
Yeah, I would say Creighton's always the one on the schedule we always look forward to. We have a lot of great teams that we play in the non-conference, but Creighton, being that other kind of in-state rivalry, it's always great whenever we play either at Bob Devaney or if we're playing at CHI Health. It's always a really great game, and we love it. It's almost like the Nebraska celebration.
Yeah.
Lindsay, you were hurt most of the year last year. We didn't get to see you play. What did you learn? What kind of perspective did that give you being on the bench looking in?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it just brought me kind of a new perspective of how much I love the sport of volleyball and how much I love playing with my teammates every day. Sometimes when you're caught in the grind of, college athletics or anything, it can get kind of monotonous. However, it was as soon as that was taken away, it's almost like a reassess, and I realized how much I loved doing it and how much I missed it. And so I was just so grateful to be able to be back on the court this spring.
Did you find your voice from the bench, being able to talk to these young players?
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that was something that the new dynamic taught me, was how can I provide and have a role on my team just in a very different way. And I think that was something that my teammates were very open to helping me learn, but also very open to hearing what I had to say, even though I was in a different position.
Kennedi, you've taken a new role on this team, leadership for sure. And you can tell the young players look up to you and love you. Your coach said you came in more fit than you've ever been. What are you most excited about this season?
I'm just excited for the little things. It's our senior year, and it's so crazy to think that we've already been at Nebraska for 4 years. It's been a wild ride, to say the least, and also the best experience. So genuinely taking every little moment and being present with it. I don't want to skip a moment. So,
You guys had an incredible season last season, fell short in the last match. A few of the players were saying, look, this is going to really fire us up for next season. How has the intensity or attention to detail changed in the gym?
Yeah, for sure. We've had a great summer, all summer. It was a little bit tough at first because about half the team went to overseas to play USA volleyball. So anytime we could get in the gym, we were fired up, we were ready to go. Every second that we had together this summer was super important, and we knew that. And going into this fall season, we're super excited and motivated to get to the last game of the season.
Yeah, I think it's just something that really fuels us. I think as we had a few months removed from it, we realized that we could use the ending of that season, even though it was something that was very heartbreaking for us, we could find the middle ground of using it to fuel us without getting too hung up on it and being too stuck in the past, because ultimately that could hurt us. So I feel like we did a lot of working as a team to find the middle ground of being able to fuel us just the right amount so that we can work even harder this year.
There's no way we can talk about last season without bringing up Volleyball Day in
Of
Nebraska.
course.
That was incredible to see. I was watching it from here, but getting chills. I can't imagine what it was like to play in that match. Can you guys just explain that experience and what it meant to you both to play in that match?
Yeah, I think to this day still, I cannot describe what Volleyball Day meant and what playing in a football stadium is really like, but I like to equate it to, like, you looked out and it looked like a video game. You were in a movie.
Yeah, it was like a green screen.
Exactly, little specks everywhere. It was insane, and I think building up to that day, we didn't understand the amount of influence that it would have and what it would really mean, and then straight from the tunnel walk is when it all kind of hit me, and I think our whole team. And it was just like, this is more than us, this is more than our team, this is for women's sports as a whole. And I am so grateful and like honored that our team could be a part of that, and how hard that our program, the Big Ten, and everyone worked for it. I'm just so special.
Yeah, and I think something that was really special for all of us was when we were doing our tunnel walk from the locker room out onto the field, I guess you could say, but out onto the court. On both sides of the red carpet was all women who ever played for Nebraska were invited to be on both sides and kind of be there as our fans for the tunnel walk. And so I think it was just very eye-opening for all of us, knowing that we didn't get here ourselves. Every single woman who's ever played for this team over the last 50 years has been the ones and the driving factors that have gotten us here. So it was very eye-opening. It was very, very cool for all of us to see, and it definitely brought tears to our eyes.
We know how hard and intense it is to be a Nebraska Cornhusker. A lot of pressure, a lot of expectations. How do you guys unplug as a group?
Oh gosh. This past summer, we spent a lot of time together because we'd have a big group and we had a little group, and we were just like, all right, we got to stick together somehow. So whether that was, watching Love Island every single day. We loved it. We'd watch horror movies.
Scary movie nights.
Yeah, just every movie night that we had. I think we always just remember that we're humans and we're friends before we're teammates. So we like to spend a lot of time with each other outside of volleyball.
Yeah, and doing things that make us happy outside.
And what kind of focus have you put on culture? Because I know you're welcoming in some new players as well.
Yeah, for sure. Every summer we talk about culture, and that's really, of course, we're building muscle, we're getting stronger over the summer, but I think our main priority is building culture and what we want the next season to look like, because every single team is different. So we like to have meetings, we like to have little things throughout the summer, talk about what this specific team looks like and what we're going to take into the season, and how we're building our culture, not only with just that team too, but also how we look at the program and the history of Nebraska volleyball and what that means to us.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that makes us so strong as one unit, as a team, is we put at the forefront of our brains and really prioritize the importance of building the relationships first before we go on the court to compete with one another. I think in order to make it in this program, we know how competitive we have to be. However, we prioritize our relationships so that our competition on the court don't affect those relationships, and then having that balance and that stability of our culture is really what makes us successful.
And would you say your culture is player-driven, coach-driven, whole group together?
I think it's very collaborative.
Yeah, I would say we always want it to be player-driven, but we're also blessed to have former Huskers, Lindsay Peterson, Kelly Hunter, Jordan Larson, a part of our coaching staff and program. So it's definitely a big collaborative thing, and we get to learn from everyone in the program, coaches and players. We have players from other teams as well who know some things that maybe we don't. So.
Yes, it's all very great. We have a great dynamic, and I think something that also helps is all three of those former players we had all played for Coach. Not to try and call Coach old, but all three of our people on our staff also played for Coach. So they're able to find the middle ground. They now have a different relationship with him, but they also know what it's like to be in our shoes, So I think it's also really great, and that's something that we have, and that's a really big bonus.
Some of those Husker alumni that you guys just mentioned, obviously Jordan Larson, they're over in Paris right now representing Team USA, representing Husker volleyball. What does it mean to you guys to be able to see, like, those girls were in my shoes and now look at where they're at, and then to be able to learn from them in your gym as well?
I think Jordan specifically, born and raised in Nebraska, and as someone who is also born and raised in Nebraska, I've never lived anywhere else, I think it's really something that's beautiful to see. You see her being from a small town and just all the things that she was able to do and continuing to evolve and, still playing at this point after such a long pro career. I think it's something that's really beautiful, and I think it's something that's very inspiring for all people. And so being able to have her on our staff and being able to learn from her and all the wisdom that she has is something that's been unmatched.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I remember growing up and watching the Rio Olympics and being like, oh, I want to be a part of that. And then having Jordan as a coach too, I think you see the person side of her. And that's also so special because we talk about being people outside of volleyball. And knowing that Jordan does that at the highest level and she also prioritizes that is super cool. And I think it's taught our team a lot about that volleyball teaches you more than just volleyball. Like, it teaches you a lot about life and being a woman.
Yeah.
Well, Lindsay, Kennedi, thank you so much for your time today. We can't wait to watch you take the court this season. Hope you have a great rest of the day at Big Ten Media Days.
Thank you, guys.
Oldenburg is hoping for this year. Before we get too deep into your roster, I want to know what you take away from last year, both from a positive standpoint and from things that you think you can improve on with a new roster this year in Columbus.
Yeah, I think the good and the bad is experience, and I think our young players gained that. Having Londot and Rader back for a fifth year is huge. I mean, just their knowledge of the conference, what it takes to win, playing at a high level, and bringing our younger class players along. I think it's super important for where we want to go and what we want to do this year. So we're going to rely a lot on the experience, the hard lessons we learned with the losses we took last year, but excited for something new and more this season.
So how much do you rely on those two specifically, and not just on the court, but off the court and all the stuff that goes on around school that freshmen could potentially be overwhelmed by, for those two to kind of shepherd everyone else in and make sure that they don't feel overwhelmed?
Yeah, we rely on them a lot. They're two of our captains. Our other seniors, Sydney Taylor and Megan McCann, are our other two captains. We have 4 this year. And I think their leadership, their just knowledge of Ohio State and what all of that means, they're just passing it on daily to everybody else. And I like where we are in a leadership standpoint. The leaders, in waiting, they're ready to go. But for this season, we're going to rely a lot on Emily and Rader on and off the court.
And you could certainly argue that there's never been a season when experience and leadership has meant more, could potentially mean more than this season, with the addition of 4 schools. So much change going on inside women's college volleyball, inside college sports as a whole. What's your perspective, and how do you approach all the unknowns that are out there this coming season?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity to look at it as, how do you prepare for postseason? You play everybody once. And so this year we're playing 3 teams twice. Everybody else we play 1 time. You have 1 shot at them. And so it's how well can you prepare during the week? How good are your scouting reports? How well can you make adjustments inside of a match? You can't wait till the next time you play them. You might not have that chance. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us to look at it as, how do we prepare for the postseason? Because we're getting back there.
And new places, new venues for your student athletes to see. I know you take one of the very first road trips out west. I believe that opening weekend, you travel to USC, UCLA, Indiana's the other team that travels west. How cool is it for your players to get to see cities? Most of them have probably been to LA, but maybe they've never played inside Galen, inside Pauley, to get inside those historic venues.
Yeah, I think that when you have teams like that have a history and volleyball's high on their radar, it's fun to go to those places, regardless of who you're playing. And so to open up the Big Ten there and welcome them to the Big Ten, but also show our players, what that looks like on the West Coast, I think it's super exciting.
Those teams, those venues, and the ones inside the Big Ten have obviously driven the sport to a popularity spot where it's never been before. How fun has it been to be part of the ride?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, I enjoyed it as a player back in the day, but now with just the growth of volleyball and how much the spectators are into it and they want more and more and more, I think it's just the perfect time to be in the game.
Could you have envisioned it would get to this point when you were a player?
You hope for it.
Yeah.
You're always hopeful for that, but to see it happen and to see it happen in Columbus, I think is more special since I was a player at Ohio State.
Maybe even more importantly, how does the sport continue on this trajectory instead of plateauing?
Well, I think you're seeing it. Our match against Michigan is in our basketball arena, and so we're trying to break the Ohio attendance record. You see Wisconsin going to the venue for their basketball arena. You have Purdue going to matches like that. Obviously, what Nebraska did last year. I think we're just looking for those extra things to get more people involved and get the excitement to keep going on the up.
Yeah. So how do you're worried about the day-to-day, you're worried about match 1, you're worried about your roster, but there's all these external factors right now that we don't know. There's pay for play and revenue sharing and how that will affect non-revenue sports. And then, as you mentioned, you're trying to figure out other ways to keep it fresh, to make it different. How do you balance the two?
Well, I think we're really fortunate to be at Ohio State. I mean, our administration is, at the table daily in those conversations. And to be in a program and have a brand like Ohio State, we're just in such a great spot. And volleyball is valued at our university and will continue to be that. So the balance is communication with your administrators, it's communication with your athletes, and then let's go win. Let's find ways to win. And that's what brings us all together is, how do we battle in order to win those big matches?
Since you bring up administration, and I didn't have this scripted, but I'd be remiss not to ask about Gene Smith, who departs. Ross Bjork obviously takes over now as the new athletic director. And Jean was such a believer in all of women's sports and what women's sports could do for a university, not just what the university could do for women's sports. Would love your thoughts on what he meant to you, to your program, to Ohio State athletics.
I mean, he's the GOAT. Like I just,
he is the GOAT.
He's super impressive, and I think the legacy he's left will continue to live on just because of the people. And we talk about people play. People. Now I've lost it. There it is.
See, I got your emotion.
I got emotional thinking of the GOAT. Yeah.
Hopefully, Jean's watching.
The people, the tradition, the excellence, and those are the standards that we set on a daily basis. And so Ross coming into that and having to be working with Jean for months in the transition, I think that's pretty rare and pretty special. And so I think as Jean transitions out, we're going to miss him dearly, daily, but then Ross coming in, providing something fresh, but holding on to a lot of that tradition that we have. I think it's a special time for us in Ohio State, and I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, among all the great things that Jean did, and Jean was, the most amazing thing, he knew everybody's name, every single athlete and assistant coach in the biggest athletic department in the country, and it changed every year. I have no idea how he did it.
And more. Like, it just didn't know your name. Like, he knew what sport you played. He knew something special about you. Like, it was impressive.
Pretty amazing. All right, let's dive into your team a little bit. Stylistically, Jen, when your team is playing the way you want it to play, when it's playing its best, what are we seeing?
We're gonna run a faster offense this year. I think that's exciting. Where ball control is going to be key for us. The first and second contact with the first pass, and Mia, Gibby, all the setters just running a fast tempo, and we want to beat people with speed. So that's no secret. So anybody watching this and be like, oh, Ohio State's running fast. Like, that's what we're going to do.
That's what we do.
Yeah, and I think that's what's exciting is that the arms that we have in our gym right now, we have some depth. We have people to take some pressure off of London and Raider. I think it's going to be very exciting type of style on our side of the net.
With those two, you have so much offensive firepower, the ability to swing from a lot of different spots, a lot of different angles, even on out-of-system balls. But defensively in this league, we have so many arms on the offensive side that defensively you have to be really good at not just the dig, but getting that ball into a spot where the setter can put it in the right spot. Where are you in that build and where you want to be on the defense turning into offense part?
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I think our back row players, whether it's our defensive specialist or our pins, taking a big load of that. But I like what we're doing out of system. I mean, everybody's able to set the ball. Obviously, taking the doubles out of play, like everybody can set a ball without being worried about the whistle. We spend a lot of time out of system, and we want to be really good in that this year. That's one of our focal points. So I'm excited for just play. I mean, I'm ready. Like this season, we're just ready for more, and I'm excited to see what our team can bring.
Sydney is with you after playing in all 29 matches last year as a player rep today. We'll hear from her in just a second. What are you looking forward to her providing in 24?
Senior leadership. I mean, she's been a captain for us for the last 3 seasons. So as a sophomore, she was voted captain. I think that says a lot for her presence, what she brings every day. Her work ethic is one of the best I've coached. I'm excited to see her presence this year for the whole team. And everybody, the last season, and we don't want to get emotional about it, but it's going to be a big one for her, and I'm excited.
Yeah, cool to watch some of her highlights here. When viewers watch, what should they be watching for regarding her specific skill set?
She can do everything. I mean, last year she hit for us when we needed to, and to be an undersized, we'll say even DS, and going up against Wisconsin's block and different blocks, like she brings it every day. And so I think her skill set is what sets her apart in our gym.
Mia's here as well. We don't get a lot of underclassmen usually coming to these media days, but she's obviously playing above her years. Terrific freshman season, averaged about 9.5 assists per set. What's the ceiling? How do you help her get to that potential?
I mean, the ceiling's huge. I mean, I don't even think she's close to what she's capable of, which is exciting because she's doing a really good job for us already. I think the experience she gained last year will translate into a great sophomore season. I'm excited to see her development over this past year and for you guys to see it as well. But I think she also brings a lot of leadership qualities that we need on the court in that position.
Historically, what have you seen in the biggest growth areas from important players from their freshman to sophomore seasons? Where does it manifest itself most obviously?
I think just, patience inside of a point. I think that's where you could set yourself apart. If the game's going fast and you're just constantly catching up to the play, you're already behind. And if you're ahead of it because you understand the speed and what to expect from the opponents, but also the people on your own side of the net, I think that's what's going to prepare you more. So the experience we gained last year in those moments, I think is going to help us tremendously this year.
Before we wrap up, I do have to get some more thoughts on Emily Londoc, because we've talked about what she will mean for the younger group, but we also have to talk about what she does on the court, because she was the leader in the Big Ten a year ago in kills and points per set. She was top 6 in both those categories nationally. I know you're probably still impressed by what she does, even after all the time that you guys have spent together, but what's most impressive?
That she does it every day, and there's no breaks. And she's a workhorse for us. She's an emotional leader. She's a vocal leader. And, I'm excited to see her finish out a career that has been really special so far. But I think this year's even going to be bigger and better.
I know you've said it's hard to say goodbye to players. I'm assuming she's going to be one that it's going to be really
seniors,
difficult to say goodbye
night.
to when she's played her last match.
Yeah, well, you try not to think about it, but you do. And I think the 4 seniors, but then Rader and Londot, and yeah, tears come to my eyes when I think about it. I mean, even with my daughter, she's like, "Stop talking about it." I'm like, I can't.
I can't do it.
Yeah, I can't do it. It's coming, and so I'm trying to prepare myself. But until that moment, we're gonna have a good ride.
Jen Flynn, Oldenburg, Ohio State head coach, we appreciate the time. Best of luck this season.
Thank you so much.
To give you a closer look at some of the matches that the Buckeyes will face in both the non-conference and in Big Ten play. Florida in the non-con early September. We mentioned the very first weekend of Big Ten play, the road trips to USC and UCLA. Some great home matches as well. In Columbus against Oregon, Michigan, and Nebraska, and late in the year last weekend finishing up against Wisconsin, one of the Big Ten's preseason favorites. For more from the Buckeye players that Jen and I discussed a little bit, check in once again with Elena and Holly.
Thanks so much, Rick. Holly and I are joined now by Mia Tuman and Sydney Taylor of Ohio State Volleyball. Welcome to the studio part of Big Ten Media Days. How's the day been so far? What's your favorite station or part of Big Ten Media Day?
I'd have to say the TikTok station. I got pranked, but it was fun. It was been good.
What happened?
I was trying to prank my coach, but she actually planned something with Sydney, and they pranked me instead.
Fun.
Okay, so we'll be seeing that on TikTok.
One of the
You will
few
be seeing it on
coaches
TikTok.
who wanted to do TikTok.
What about you, Sydney? What's been your favorite part?
I think all of it. It's just been really special, just seeing all the other athletes walking around and the coaches. Just excited for the season, and I do think my favorite stations were with Audrey and Mac. They're alum for us, so it was just really special getting to talk with them.
Mia, you filled some big shoes last year as a freshman. Where has your game improved the most?
I think just staying level-headed in the game. I think my first year, I was still taking it all in and just enjoying it, like being in those big moments. And now I have a year under my belt, and I can just take a breath and kind of just play my game and not overthink everything.
I think this year you've got a nice experienced group and some new faces on the team. What are you guys most excited about?
Yeah, just the mesh of it all. I think the underclassmen bring so much personality, grit for us, and then we have older girls who are veterans bring that leadership, and the way that it has meshed over the summer and the spring has just been so exciting, and I think we're just ready to get after it.
Mia, taking the reins as a freshman setter last year is no easy feat. We've both been in those shoes, so I commend you for that. How was that experience as a freshman setter, and what are you focused on going into this season? What aspects of your game? I know Coach said you're going to run a faster offense. Mm-hmm. That's a challenge in itself. Has that been your main focus?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel very lucky just to be at Ohio State, where I don't have a lot of pressure on me just because the upperclassmen take a lot of that off. They let me be a leader from day one since I got there, which has just been really special, letting me give my voice and just play how I play and bring that into our team. But yeah, I think I've got the best setting coach, I think, in the country with me, and having her by my side just gives me all the confidence to know that if we're going to change something up, we're going to do it, and it's not going to be a problem.
If you're going to run a faster offense, first contact's really important, and that means you, Sydney.
Yes.
How important is it to your backcourt that you're out there with your experience?
Yeah, it's just a huge part having everyone together. No matter who's passing back there, we have changed so much in the spring of whether that's technique, seams, all that stuff, and the work we've put in this spring will show, and we're so excited to show that offense, but we're more excited to start that offense back there.
We saw you last year step in and hit, serve. You did it all for the team. Maybe you'll come set, I don't know, jump in the middle blocker position, we'll see. What's that experience like for you, just kind of being able to step in for your team wherever they need you?
Yeah, and that's all it is just stepping in wherever we need it. Not everything's gonna go perfect all the time, and whatever that looks like, our team's flexible, no matter who it is, whether it's me, Mia, it doesn't matter who it is, just being flexible and being creative. Last year we had to be creative with what we had, and just our opponents, our matchups, scouting, all that stuff, and it doesn't matter who it is, and that's what our culture is and team is, and whatever that is.
Have you guys spent time in the summer together, and what's the energy like?
Yeah, I think we're just ready to go. I mean, I think there's been a lot of build-up, and we're just really excited about this team. We got people back, like having Lonnie and Raider back is just, like, it's huge. Like, we just love them. So it's just awesome to have them back, and the new freshmen just fit right in. So I think we're just ready to go. We're excited about the season. Yeah, I would just say we're ready. We've been waiting.
How would you define Ohio State volleyball culture?
Tough question. That's a good one.
I mean, I think one of the things that really drew me to Ohio State was the culture. I think we're just like best friends, and I think like when we're having bad volleyball days, like we don't turn on each other. We just have each other's backs, and I think it just means a lot, like having family on the team and not just teammates. So I would say the culture's amazing, but I'm biased, obviously.
Yeah, it's special. I think everyone's been a part of different team cultures, but to me, being a Buckeye and being a part of this program is so special. Just starting with the coaches, they're like our parents, but also they're our leaders and teachers. So it's so special to have them and their experiences, but also our teammates, like we're best friends, and it feels like family. And when you're out there on the court, it makes it even special. So just that standard that's been set in the gym has been raised, and we want to get those goals this year. And I think that mindset change has really changed the whole culture for us.
What do you guys like to do off the court to unplug a little bit?
We really just like hang out, like sit around and talk. I think that's probably the biggest thing. We like coffee, so we'll go to a coffee shop like every time we travel, go to a new one. But I think just honestly just spending time with each other, like we don't really need to be doing activity. We just talk about like anything and everything.
Yeah, there's always people over at someone's house, hanging out, watching volleyball, watching other sports. It doesn't matter what it is.
We got some new programs joining the conference this year, making the Big Ten even stronger, so it's going to be fun. We know every night's always a battle anyways, but do you have any matches, any venues that you're looking forward to playing in this year?
I think just our trip out west to USC and UCLA, I think that's going to be a fun experience. We have lots of fun traveling on the road, but just in those arenas and venues will be really special, and we're the first ones to do it, so it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm just excited. I mean, obviously haven't been over there much, but every new gym's also exciting, so I'm excited.
Do you have any matches on the schedule that you're looking forward to?
Yes, we're hosting the team up north in the Schottenstein Center, and every year that game sells out in Cavelli, and we want to spread that energy and make it special. So that to be able to just have a game in the Schott for the first time ever, being a Buckeye, is really special. So we definitely have that circled on our calendar.
Yeah, she said it. I was getting no comment.
The team up north. Okay.
I respect that. What's it like playing for Ohio State? Like, what's that experience like being an Ohio State student athlete, and what's your favorite part of that?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like an honor, honestly. Like, it's always been my dream to play in the Big Ten, and I think Ohio State's like, I think it's the best school like in the nation, honestly. It's just putting on that jersey makes me feel like a superhero every time I step out on the court. So like, I couldn't say enough great things. It's so special. Like, I can't really describe it.
Yeah, just being a Columbus kid too is really special because Ohio State is just the best in the nation. So being here for volleyball is one thing, but academically, for your career after college, all those things just add up and make it the best culture to be a part of, and best program, best university, and it's home. So it's really special.
Obviously, the Summer Olympics, big time. Have you guys been watching the volleyball, and what inspires you the most?
Yeah, we've actually been like having it on our phone like throughout today, just because it's so exciting, and we just swept Poland, which was really cool. Yes. And but yeah, I mean, it's just like cool watching all these players you watch grow up, and they're still doing it, and they're killing it, and it's awesome. And I think they're just proving a lot of people wrong and showing them what they're made of. And it's just really cool to represent what they're representing USA.
Yeah, and our coaches have experienced that. Michelle Barch, she won a gold medal last Olympics, so just having her point of view and input just as these games go on is so awesome. And I know they're all watching it in their offices all the time, and we're all texting back and forth. So it's just really cool that they have those experiences and we can learn and talk to them about it all the time.
Heading into this season, I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of fans at your games, especially that one game, maybe some attendance records coming up. What can fans expect to see from Ohio State volleyball this year?
I think just a new us. We're ready to get started, but we're ready to get back to Buckeye volleyball. Going back to last year, just growing pains, and we're moved on, but we're better than ever. So I'm excited to just see that, and I'm excited for our fan base to also see that.
Well, I'm excited to see it as well. Can't wait to watch you guys take the court this year. Thank you so much for your time, Mia and Sydney. Enjoy the rest of Big Ten Media Days.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
And Leslie Gabriel, who knows as much about Washington volleyball as anybody in the universe, part of 634 wins as a player, assistant, and head coach with this program. Before we started, we were just talking about it. When you're at a great place and you enjoy everything about it, why would you go anywhere else?
That's exactly it. You know, even when I was a student athlete there, I loved my time there. You know, it's about the people and how they treated student athletes. And so when Jim McClellan asked me to come back, it was a no-brainer because I wanted to get into coaching too. And like I told you, when you're surrounded by great people, you're learning and you're helping these young women, there's no other place I'd want to be than here.
As someone who is so much of the fabric of what Washington volleyball is, what does it feel like to be the head coach of the program as it ushers in a brand new era?
It's exciting, you know. This is the conference I wanted to be in if the Pac-12 was going to be no longer. And to do that with the group of women that we have, we're super excited and honored to be a part of this.
What's this experience been like so far for you and the players? I know we've been doing Big Ten Volleyball Media Days for a couple of years, but this is obviously your first chance to come and visit us.
It's been great. The day that they have put together for our players, you know, to see the sparkle in their eye, they feel special, you know, and they deserve this attention. They work so hard, both in the classroom and on the court, and they get to, I think it's great that they get to share their story on how they got here and why they're having the success that they're having.
Now, coaches I've spoken to so far have been split about 50-50 on this as to whether they are joining the TikTok videos with their players or they're staying out of the way. Where did you stand on that?
You know, I joined them in. I told them I would do at least one with them, and they kept my move really simple, which is the thing I told them. I was like, if we're going to do it, keep it simple for me so I can stay in rhythm.
See, but then you do that, then you're getting some extra coach points. You know now you can cash in on those later in the year during practice.
Exactly.
Smart move on your part. What's it been like for you as a former player to watch the growth and popularity of this sport, not just within your own program, but also to watch it from afar, spreading from the West Coast to the Midwest to the East Coast, and to see where it is now compared to where it was when you played at Washington in the late 90s?
Yeah, it's been awesome, I'll just tell you. And I know that there's still room for it to grow, but just to see the excitement for our sport, you know, obviously what Nebraska was able to do last year, and to have that viewership, and then most importantly to get people talking. You know, USA Volleyball winning a medal gave more people to talk about it, and got more people watching, and got all these young players wanting to try this sport that maybe they've known about and they want to continue to get better, but maybe it's something new. You know, I have a daughter that is 10, and within this last year, her love for the game has grown, and so this year I think we're going to give it a try, you know, and so I love what, I love the growth that's going on, and it's deserved.
I think it may be 6 or 7 years before your daughter's ready to go into a recruiting cycle. But for you, how much have you seen recruiting for you and for this sport nationally change with that growth and popularity, especially at the youth levels?
You know, it's been great. One thing that caught my attention this year when I was out in the club levels is just the level of play at the young ages. You know, I went down and watched some 14s and 15s, and I'm like, wow, there's a tall girl. And before, my notes would be like, tall, keep an eye on, you know, because maybe they weren't skilled enough to do it. And now we're getting some really good coaching down at the younger levels where girls can now do a lot of different things. And it's just helping our sport grow, and which is exciting.
How much are you and your student athletes looking forward to the opportunity to travel to cities that maybe some of them have never been to before and play in some of the best volleyball venues in the country that I'm guessing most of them have never played inside before?
Yeah, it's exciting. As a coach, there are certain venues around the country that you want to get your team in because they bring a great crowd, a great environment. And the Big Ten, let me tell you, each institution here, they have great fan support. And so it'll be fun. We were talking, I was talking with the girls since we've come out to Chicago, and one of them has never been to Chicago before. So just to bring them here for this event is a big deal. But you're right, to go into these cities and universities and to give our players this opportunity to see is a big deal.
Yeah, early October, you'll take a road trip to Madison, I believe, get to play against Wisconsin, one of the great venues and obviously one of the great teams in this sport. Though travel will be more logistically challenging for your program, the other 3 West Coast programs, than for the 14 schools that were in this conference before August 2nd. They only have to make one weekend trip west. You guys have to make a bunch more. How do you try to offset that with the players, knowing how difficult Washington is as an academic school as well, and they're trying to balance both?
Yeah. At the University of Washington, we want players who want to be great in both, and we've been very lucky that school is important to our players. And so they really make sure that, when they have time to study, they're studying. And so they're, studying on the airplanes, in the airports, and so they're making the most of their time. We also have a great academic support system at our school. Who's there and provide great resources for our student athletes. But you're right, travel is something that we have to think about. And I think the only way that we get through it is we talk a lot about control the controllables in our gym, and we don't have control where we have to go, what time we have to play, but we have total control on how we want to look at it, how we want to think about the situations. And I think if we can control those things, then we'll be ready. Maybe our routines will be different than what we're used to, but you got to be flexible. We're in one of the greatest conferences, and we should be fired up to play against the best every single night.
The only constant right now is change, so I think every coach, every player has to be flexible because we're changing day by day. There's absolutely no question about that. Some Big Ten fans maybe have not seen Washington volleyball a lot. So when your team is playing at its best, from a stylistic standpoint, what will viewers see in terms of pace, in terms of what you want to do both offensively and defensively?
We want to be fast to the pins and get good swings in the middle. We want to run a more balanced offense than what we were last year. And then defensively, we want to be able to slow down our opponents, and with both our block and our floor defense. And so, hopefully those are 2 things that they see when they watch us play.
All right, let's talk about a couple of your players, the player reps that you brought here to Chicago this week. Amani Bush, one of your player reps, all Pac-12 2 seasons ago, but missed last year, I believe, with shoulder surgery. So how much of a difference can a healthy Amani make for your team in 2024?
A big difference. We definitely missed her last year, but she brings a lot to the court. Not only from the leadership point, but she helps scores a ton of points, both at the net with her blocking and her attacking, but also with her serve. This past summer, she showed Team Canada and the tournament that she went to that she's a force to be reckoned with at the service line too.
Yeah, we're watching some of her highlights right now. What do you think about all the skills that she possesses? What's most impressive?
Just her attacking. I think one thing that we've been trying to work on this spring is just expanding our range. And that's something that she was able to do this spring, is to hit shots and go for it. And that's one thing I love about Amani. She's not afraid to go for it. And that's what I'm excited to see back on the court.
All right, 5th year, Maddie Hensley, also with you, has a career year on the offensive end, led your team in kills per set. What makes her effective at that outside position? You look inside the Big Ten at some of the outsides that have been in this league the last couple of years, obviously as good as there is in the country.
The girl is competitive as heck. No one's going to stop her. It doesn't matter that she's maybe the shortest out of all. She's going to find a way to win. And I think that's one thing that has helped her be successful. She's a student of the game. You come to our practices, she's the first one to come in, the last one to leave. She loves the game. and she puts in a lot of time, and that's what's helped her be successful.
When Big Ten volleyball fans are getting their first couple of glances at Washington, how about some other names that you will need to be impact players for your program this year to have success?
You know, one thing we did, our staff did this spring, is we wanted to increase our depth, you know, and we wanted to bring more pin hitters, more middles, more setters, so that there's competition at every single position, you know. And so I'm excited to see what this competition does, you know, with our group of players. You know, we have Audrey who had good gains last year for us offensively, and I'm really excited about some of the freshmen that we have coming in. You know, we're bringing in 3 freshmen. Julia Hunt, she's from Kentucky. She was Miss Kentucky, and she's someone that has a good arm that can come in and compete right away. Alexis Hari is a setter from Oregon, and someone that's just a true competitor at heart. And then Addie Benefield is a late add for us, and she's just an explosive player. And so I think for us, I'm excited to see what happens, you know. But as far as, you know, some other players, Lauren Bays, our libero, is someone that has been a real big force for us on our backcourt passing. And then Molly Wilson, you know, she played last year for the first year as a setter for us and just has continued to grow as a leader and a setter for us. So there's a lot of players that I think can step up and help us going into next year.
Need a lot of depth, certainly, to get through the league schedule that you'll face. Yeah. I do want to touch on your non-con, though. I think it's interesting you stay almost exclusively out west for your non-conference. You have a tournament in Boulder. You have a tournament in Bozeman. I think you have a road match in Corvallis. You play a couple in Long Beach. So how intentional was that, kind of knowing what you have in the Big Ten and the additional travel? And is that something that becomes something of a standard in the future when you schedule to the non-conference?
Yeah, it was very intentional. You know, like you have mentioned, we're going to be doing a lot of travel in season. And so we were very mindful about where we wanted to go. You know, obviously you got to pay attention to who you're playing because you want to get ready for conference. That's what you use preseason for. And we felt the teams that we have on our schedule will help us do that, and we didn't have to travel far to do that.
So what's the biggest focus for you? There's not a lot of time between now and that opening weekend. You want to get what accomplished between now and then? You know, just figuring out who our starting lineup will be. You know, like I said, we have a lot of work to do to figure out how to make all this puzzle work, you know, and so it'll just be seeing how that plays out so that we're ready when Big Ten starts. Let's finish here. How do you describe your excitement level right now? We kind of consider this the unofficial start of Big Ten volleyball season. I know it may be a day or two before you're actually in the gym really working, but how excited are you? How excited are the players to stop talking about all this stuff and actually get the ball up in the air? You know, they're really excited, you know, and they can't wait to get going, and they've expressed it throughout this day. And this is just the start of what this conference is about. Well, we couldn't be more excited to have you here, Leslie. Gabriel, truly appreciate the time. We look forward to watching you, working with you, and best of luck to you and the Huskies. Thank you so much. All right, we discussed a little bit of the schedule with Leslie. Here it is. It's Washington State in the middle of September, a road trip to Madison. We talked about that and how great that venue will be, but an awesome home schedule. I have UCLA at home, Oregon at home. Look in November, Nebraska, a preseason Big Ten and national favorite, making their first trip to Seattle for a conference match. For more from the Huskies, we send it back over once again to Elena and Holly.
Thank you, Rick. Holly and I are back, this time joined by Imani Bush and Maddie Ensley from Washington Volleyball. Welcome to the studio part of Big Ten Media Days. I hope you guys have been having a lot of fun today.
Thank you.
We're so excited to have you as part of this conference. What are you most looking forward to in playing in the Big Ten this season?
Oh, I'm excited to just go to these schools and just see the energy that they bring. I feel like everyone talks about like the Big Ten gyms, like they're electric, they're intense, and I'm so excited to go in and compete in those environments.
Yeah, I'm excited just for there not to be any rest. Every single team in this conference can compete, and I'm just excited for the competition.
Maddie, every season your offensive numbers have improved. How do you do it?
Like Tu was talking about earlier, just time. I spend a lot of time in the offices, recovering from an ankle injury. I spent a lot of time getting a lot of reps jumping, and I'm just super grateful for the help that my coaches have given me throughout my career.
Imani, you spent some time in the gym for Canada. What was that experience like?
It was awesome. It was great to compete with some girls that have international experience and that are a lot older than me. I think it was also really good to get my footing back with volleyball coming off of a shoulder surgery last year. So I was just trying to get as many touches as possible, and it happened to be in the gym with Canada, which was awesome, and down in the Dominican Republic competing for Canada. So it was a great experience overall.
Your coach talked about you adding to your range. Was that part of coming back from shoulder surgery, working on your shots, or was that something you were going to add anyways?
It's always been a goal of mine to expand my range, but especially after surgery, I feel like anyone with a shoulder surgery can attest to the fact that it feels like a different shoulder when you're coming back. You gotta learn how to use it again, and thankfully I've learned how to hit a couple more shots, added a few things to my toolbox, so yeah, it's always been something on my list, but it feels good to finally accomplish it.
A much deeper gym this year. Your coach made sure that you guys had depth at every position so you guys could compete and get pushed. So A side, B side was very competitive. What are you guys looking forward to getting after it in the gym?
We talk a lot about working like a machine, and I think our depth is gonna add to that. And I think we're just gonna push each other to get better every single day, and I can't wait to get in the gym with all of my teammates because we have a great energy going.
Yeah, I mean, as a high-level athlete, a competitive gym is like all you can ask for. It feels fun to go into practice every day. It feels fun to compete with your friends and against your friends. So I'm just excited to get going.
Growing up in Canada, were you familiar with Big Ten volleyball?
No, actually. I didn't know what the Big Ten was until I got to Seattle. So yeah, it feels weird to be here now, but I'm just so blessed to now be in this position and competing for this conference. Yeah, it's awesome.
Can you give us a little bit of a look into your gym right now? What are fans going to expect to see from Washington volleyball this year?
Oh, some dogs. Like some people that are going to go out there every single point and give it their absolute all. People that are scared of nothing and will go for everything. So I think they can look forward to that this next year.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better.
Traditionally, I feel like Washington is a really strong blocking team, serving team. Are those still staples in your program?
Oh, absolutely. With Coach Tui, she brings so much history and culture from Washington, so she's really instilled in us those same values of being a great blocking team, being a great serving team, but we're also looking to add some more skills to that list for us this next year.
For example?
Attacking, passing.
Defense.
I feel like, yeah. We've worked a lot on our passing and our defense just to get it really consistent and at the highest level because Big Ten defense is no joke, so we're looking to be right up there with them.
We've talked a lot with different teams about the stylistic difference between the West Coast teams and the Big Ten teams. What are you looking forward to playing against these existing Big Ten teams?
Honestly, I think their defense challenging our offense and seeing how good we can get against really gritty teams.
Yeah, and going up against those like big physical teams and having to pull out every single tool you got in the toolbox to beat them. So.
Maddie, you mentioned it. This conference, similar to the Pac-12, every single night is going to be a battle. Are there any matches that you're most looking forward to? I know you probably take it one match at a time, but I also was in your shoes once and I had games circled on my calendar. So are there any matches you're most looking forward to or any venues you're most excited to play in?
I feel like for me it's Penn State. I feel like I've heard about the energy in this gym and the way the Penn State fans show up, so I'm just excited to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Nebraska at home and at Wisconsin, but Nebraska at home is going to be gnarly, just like seeing all the purple and red in the crowd is going to be really awesome.
You've both represented the Washington volleyball program for a few years now. What does it mean to you to be able to not just be a Washington volleyball player, but also a Washington student athlete and just get to wear that W on your chest?
Just so much gratitude, honestly.
Yeah, it means a lot. I mean, when you're a student athlete at UW, it means you want to perform at the highest level in the classroom and on the court or the field or whatever you're doing. So to be able to have done that for the past 3 years, it feels, yeah, I'm really thankful for the opportunity, and it also feels like I'm just so proud of myself for making it through. So yeah.
You guys work hard on the court and in the classroom. What do you guys do to unplug as a team and off the court?
We like to go to the lake a lot. You know, we're not too far from Lake Washington, and it's great weather right now. Summer's really been giving us what we need with the sun. So yeah, we've just been enjoying the lake together.
What do you do on the lake?
We go out on boats, we go out on floaties, we swim, you know, whatever's available to us
Yeah.
that day.
Whenever the weather's nice, you got to get outside because it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
Let me know next time you're doing a lake day. I'll make my way to Washington
Yeah, we'll hit
because
you
that
up.
sounds like fun. I'll bring a floaty. We'll be good.
Perfect.
Give us a little bit of insight too, just on your team culture as people. Like, we love watching you as volleyball players, but what does Washington volleyball team look like as people off the court?
Yeah, we always talk about it's bigger than ourselves. We play for the W. And I think that just means every single thing we do on the court, off the court, is for a greater purpose. It's for our school, it's for our fans, it's for our coaches, it's for every single person that pours any bit of time and effort into our program. So I think that's a really big thing. We're all very selfless people and we come authentically ourselves and we play for a bigger cause, which is amazing.
Yeah, adding on to that, just the way that we care about each other is really special. There's not a day where I go into the gym and like even if I'm slightly off, someone's asking me what's going on, if I need to talk, supporting me. And it's just the uplifting that I really look forward to every day and I appreciate.
Washington has such a great volleyball tradition. How are you guys going to look to the new Big Ten fans who are going to see you for the first time?
I just hope that we come authentically ourselves. I think that's going to be a really big goal of ours, to just keep the Washington tradition going and not let the fact that we're in another conference kind of alter that, and just stay true to who we are.
Yeah, continue playing the Washington way.
Are there any pillars or mottos in your gym that you guys go in, maybe have it written on the whiteboard or in the locker room, or anything that like, this is what Washington volleyball is?
Oh, we have a list.
Okay.
But one that I think of a lot is every play, every day. It's in our locker room. I think teams, generations before us have been using, we call it EPED. And yeah, I just think it really speaks true to like what we're trying to accomplish at Washington.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. We talk about it every drill, every practice. Like, we're here to give it our all every single play, every day. Yeah.
And what did you guys learn from last season, heading into this new season in a new conference, kind of a new look program? What's your main focus heading into this season?
Yeah, I feel like for me, not being able to play, I've learned a lot about just sort of the mental side of volleyball, like staying calm, being present, and really having gratitude every day that I'm able to step on the court and play the sport that I love. So I'm going to take that into next season.
Yeah, I would say just not leaving anything behind. It's my last season. Short time, 5 years seems like a lot, but it goes by really quick. So I'm just really excited to be really present and like really appreciate where I'm at.
Well, Amani, Maddie, thank you so much for your time. This has been so much fun getting to know you both. Can't wait to see you on the court this year.
Thank you guys so much.
And first, I got to start with the jacket.
Hot Sam's, Detroit, Michigan, stand
Coming with
up.
confidence.
Yeah, this is what we're doing this year. We got the cream rocking live. Feeling good.
You did it with the players. This was a team effort.
They, my guys out of Detroit at Hot Sam's take care of me. I don't know where they got their stuff, but they're looking good.
Okay, fair enough. How do you look in comparison to your players? Are you able to rock that the way that your players are?
They look incredible. I come to an interview and I'm on my way.
Yeah, well, you're doing a pretty good job at your day job. I know things certainly trending in the right direction. So as you're on this upward trajectory, as a coach, what are the barometers that you're looking at to make sure that you're not just on that trajectory, but it is headed in that way that you're not going to plateau anytime soon?
I've got a great staff, done a great job recruiting. I think we can develop players. The kids we have done an unbelievable job of building a culture where top talent wants to come. I think the next couple of years, it looks like we've got back-to-back top 5 classes coming in. The kids who've come in have developed. They've gone on and done some amazing things. Really good kids. Come early, stay late, work hard. And I got a staff that I can trust, a team that I can trust, and they love to compete.
That recruiting piece and the difference and the reception that I'm sure that you're getting now as opposed to 5 years ago after winning like this, does it feel like night and day when you're on the recruiting trail?
I just think we've done a really good job of identifying the kind of kid that is an Indiana Hoosier. And we've brought in kids who have a really good feel for, they're not entitled, they grind, they work, they care. Like I said, they're in early and they stay late. I think in this day and age, you want to find people that care deeply about the game and they love each other and they want to compete for each other. My mentor always used to say, I don't care who plays. I just want everyone pulling the rope the same way, and we've got to be in the gym doing what we're supposed to be doing, and that's being serious about our approach and working really hard.
And in today's day and age of not just volleyball, but college sports, stability is a word that we don't hear a lot, but it's remarkably important to teams. I know after last season, you signed an extension in January designed to keep you in Bloomington for 5 more years. How does that kind of stability allow you to do the job that you want to do without having to worry too far in the future about what's next?
Yeah, it starts with the administration and Scott Dolson and their vision, their shared vision for where volleyball in Indiana should go. You know, when I took the job, I thought I had a rightful place to be an elite program in the country. We have a long way to go. I've got a ton of respect for the Big Ten. I've been in and around it since the late 90s. So I know how good people are. I know how hard they work. But I'm really, really bullish on where we're headed. I think we're just scratching the surface of where it's going to go over the next few years. And as you'll see today, we got some amazing student athletes who love their experience at Indiana.
If someone's watching your program for the first time and your program and your team is playing at its best in a set or in an entire match, what does it look like for you?
You know, when we walk in the door to when we leave, we want to fight you. I think that's number one. We're going to compete like crazy. We're one of the better serving teams in the country, and that comes back to having some kids who are just gifted with arm talent and the ability to move the ball around. We've got a great libero, we've got a great setter, and we got a bunch of kids who can put the ball away. It's a good formula. So if we can put service pressure on the top teams and make it uncomfortable, we can be in some matches. You know, when I took the job, they were pretty much last in the Big Ten. We were 6th last year. It's trending in the direction we all want it to go. And it starts and ends with just having great people in the gym. And that's the thing I'm most excited about. You want to find a group of people that you're excited to compete with. And I'm really blessed right now. This group is so much fun to be around. Great kids, good human beings, care about the school, want Indiana to have success. We feel really good.
So what's the best part about your job on an everyday basis?
Working with family. I mean, one of my assistant coaches, Kevin, is a college roommate, a 25-year friend. You know, Rachel Morris is our associate head coach and has become family. We work every day. We have fun every day. I think if you ask the players, there's an energy to it. It's young, it's exciting. We've been able to recruit the kind of kids that whether you want to play in the parking lot or on the beach or pitch a net outside, we're playing. And you want to compete, we're ready to compete. So we find those kind of people, get excited about those kind of people, and we have a really good time every day. It's a pretty good time.
Elaine and Holly are going to talk to your player reps here coming up in just a bit. If they were to ask them, and maybe they will, about the culture that you just talked about, what do you think your players would say?
I would say tip of the cap to Cam Hayworth and Morgan Geddes and Maddie Saris and Kenzie Daphne and so many of the kids who, when I took the job and I said, hey, this is where I want this thing to go, they've done the hard work. I mean, as a coach, you're a good coach if you got good players. These guys are great players, but they care. They're really good teammates that care about each other. And now we have the Ramsey Garys of the world and the kids who I think are going to be some of the premier players in the country that are at Indiana, and we look to bring that type of player in every single year until I'm done.
Ramsey had an amazing freshman season. We don't see a lot of underclassmen, a lot of sophomores come to these events, kind of speak volumes about players when they're here to represent a program. She was all freshman, second team, all league selection a year ago. She was 3rd league-wide in digs per set as a freshman. That is a kind of a crazy number. What does she provide from the perspective of keeping really well-struck balls in play to then allow you guys to turn defense into offense?
She was really well-trained coming to us. Just spectacular in terms of her development. Her club experience was great. You know, I don't take much credit for her skill development and certainly not her philosophy. I just know if there's a competition in anything, anywhere on the planet, and I got to pick someone, I'm picking Rams. And we're going to go and we're going to compete and we're going to have fun doing it. And I think that type of mentality, and you know, it's Cameron Hayworth as the setter and Ramsey as the libero driving the engine, is we've got a really competitive staff, a really competitive group. And you know, I don't know if we'll win every match. I know we'll compete. And I know we'll have fun competing, and that's what I trust about this group. We're gonna go really hard, find out how good we can be, and if it's good enough, it's good enough, and if not, we'll get right back off the mat and go after it again.
You mentioned the success that you've had in the traditional recruiting areas, but also in the transfer portal. You went there this year. Everybody has to go there, I think, if you want to compete. How do you balance the two recruiting philosophies?
Yeah, I still think you build a program from the grassroots. We want to recruit the best kids in the state and around the state. But you get lucky every once in a while with a kid, and you'll meet Delaney soon, who's an incredibly special person, a gifted volleyball player, but it's all the other stuff she brings to the table that is really going to affect the program. We want to be a place, again, as my mentor used to say, I don't care who plays. I want to recruit people who want to be competitive. We want good players. We want the gym full of good players. And then at the end of the day, have really good people you want to spend time with.
Delaney Maple, a 4-time beach national champ at USC. Why the right fit for you guys, this program right now?
She was the right fit as a person. Like she was a gifted indoor athlete before she went crazy at USC and just decided to win everything. She's a fantastic player, but she's mature. She's been around the block. She's going to be great in the locker room. Players like her, we're not sure how we're going to use her yet. I just know she's going to play. She's going to end up on the court, and she's going to end up affecting us in a positive way. And that's important to me as a coach, to have some kids that you trust. And she's a player that out of the gate, my staff trusts, I trust. She's going to help us like I said earlier, she's going to help us in a million ways.
I mean, you must have done some terrific recruiting and selling. You get somebody to leave this environment that we just saw here playing on the beach to come and play again indoor. That's pretty good stuff. For you, Steve, how do you look at the schedule from a big picture perspective? Because I think if you look at it from the start to the bottom and you try to digest it all, it's maybe just a little too much for everybody to digest in year one. We're not sure how it's all going to work with the travel. Less effect travel-wise on teams like yours, kind of located centrally. But there are so many unknown questions. So how do you approach it as a big picture look at the schedule from the opener to your final Big Ten regular season game?
Every coach will tell you it's the next match on the calendar and the coach speak what you're going to hear. Here's the thing. I wanted to play really good teams in the preseason. We're going to go play Texas at Austin. We're playing Notre Dame. I got a lot of love for Salima and what she's building there. We're playing a home and away. I want to play the best teams and compete against the best teams. And then the travel is the travel. But whether you want to play on a Wednesday night, a Tuesday morning, a Monday afternoon, we don't care. We want to, give us an opportunity to compete, find the best programs in the country, and let us go to work. And that's what we're excited to do and excited to build.
There is a little bit of a balance, though, there, isn't there? Because when you play such a tough non-con, you can play really well, right, and still lose a couple of matches.
Sure.
And if you schedule a little bit too difficult in the non-con and you finish sub 500 in the non-con, you come into this league and you got to go above 500 just to get that NCAA invite because of the NCAA rule that you have to be 500 or better. What conversations do you think coaches and maybe the AVCA need to have about that as we get into leagues that are as big and as strong as the Big Ten has now become?
Yeah, this has always been a topic, the 500 rule and who you're playing and RPI and the metrics. I think the number one thing is get good. Get good, stay good, beat good teams. You do those things, and at the end of the day, you're not as worried. This is my third rebuild. This is, I feel, the closest we've been to really having traction to be able to make a run here for the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years. That's what we're excited about, and we can only control what we can control. So the West Coast teams are phenomenal. So many good Big Ten teams in the conference. It's an honor. It's a privilege. A day like today, the last couple of days with Media Days, is shining a light on incredible young people. And we're going to take care of Indiana. We're going to work really hard at Indiana, and it'll be good enough or it won't be, but we're going to train hard, we'll compete, and we'll have fun doing it.
One game is not a true litmus test. It's not a big enough sample size for you to say, I know this about my team. But when you do take a team to play a defending national champion like Texas, who is expected to be in the mix once again, win or lose, what do you as a coach and as a coaching staff want to take away from a match like that?
Well, we're a little bit more veteran now than we've been, but I think playing in big environments, you become more comfortable in big environments. So I think they'll have a great crowd. It'll be a national TV match. It's a team that we have a ton of respect for, and they'll play. The other side of it is that we can serve and we can pass, and we play fast and we're aggressive. And, there's no one on the schedule that I'm like, hey, there's no chance of winning a match. The goal is to go and compete. I think Texas knows that. They respect what we're building. They're really good people, and they've done a good job. But for us, if we play well, if we play fast, if we serve the ball how I think we can serve the ball, we're going to be in a lot of matches, and it'll come down to 1 or 2 swings like it always does. And my hope is that a few of the upperclassmen are ready to take on the challenge of burying a ball and finding a few wins for us.
All right, finally, Steve, before you go, I do want to talk about your opening weekend in the Big Ten, because you, along with Ohio State, are the two programs that travels west. Very first weekend. You have Oregon and Washington. I believe Washington first, and then Oregon the second game of that set. I would think that this is a nice time to make that West Coast road trip, to do it early and almost look at it. It is a conference game for sure, but almost look at it as if this is an old schedule and we're finishing up with a non-league trip out there before we get into Big Ten play.
Yeah, I've got good memories of Seattle. We won the national championship there in 2013 when I was at Penn State, and then in 2014 I took a team out there and they beat us up pretty good. So they're exceptional. They a great program. I think it'll be interesting to travel in between the two cities. I think it'll be interesting in general just to get a taste of historically good programs that now, you know, the Pac-12 was great and they had really good teams, very good coaches. I just think the grind of the day in and day out, the teams that people think aren't that good in the Big Ten are exceptional, and they'll beat you if you don't play well, and you got to do it over 10 weeks.
Steve Aird, Indiana head coach. Steve, truly appreciate the time. I expect to see you rocking that drip throughout the course of at least a couple of times. You can't just show it off once, you know.
I'm going to try my best, man. It's
all right.
Not my wheelhouse, but I'll try my best.
All right, good stuff. Well, I'll show you a little bit more of Indiana's schedule. Mention that Texas game, of course. It'll be an early season barometer, no question, and the first road trip in conference play. But the home schedule is awesome. How about getting Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue in your own gym in the same season? Awesome stuff to look forward to from Indiana. All right, Elena Holly. Now, Steve said we can compare his look with the cream to the players' look in the cream. So why don't we start by doing exactly that?
They all look pretty fabulous to me.
They did color coordinate, I think.
We did. Not on purpose.
Not really.
No.
You guys are
Not
all
planned.
on the same wavelength.
Well, the outfits look fantastic, and Holly and I are so excited to have you guys here. Last but certainly not least, Delaney Maple, Ramsey Gary from Indiana Volleyball. Welcome to Big Ten Media Days. This is your last station of the day. What has been your favorite part so far of being part of this experience?
That's a good question. So many things.
Yeah, I love the On Her Turf and talking a little bit about the Olympics and all of that, but I think it's just been really cool meeting a lot of people within the Big Ten. I feel like a lot of times as players, you don't get to see the background of everything, so I think it's cool to just see a lot of the people that are huge puzzle pieces to, you know, how big the Big Ten is.
Yeah, and they're so nice. No one has been so rude to us. They've been so helpful, so yeah, it's been really cool.
Delaney, you have spent 4 years, well, probably growing up on the beach every summer in the sand. This summer was different. How is that adjustment going from beach to indoor?
It was really difficult at first. I've been playing for probably almost like 3 months now, since I gave myself like a week off after NCAAs, and then I went right back in the gym, and I felt like Bambi in the beginning. I kind of was like, why did I do this? This is so hard. But now with the help of them, we got to campus around June 1st, so I've been able to train with them. They've been so helpful. Ramsey's been a huge piece of helping me learn how to pass again, helping me learn to dive. I had the yips about diving. I could not get on the ground. I'm so used to super nice sand, so it was hard at first, but it's been so rewarding. Everybody's been so helpful, and I'm stoked to be in the Midwest, try something new, but it's been really fun.
She's been amazing.
Winning 4 national championships at USC on the beach, what do you bring to this program?
I am hoping I bring experience in leadership. I think I've been put in a lot of really stressful situations on the beach and a lot of big games, which were really tough when I was a freshman, really tough as a sophomore, but I feel like I grew and I understood how to play in those moments. So thankfully we get to play some incredible teams, and we'll probably be put in a lot of those stressful situations again. So I hope I can help the team, you know, learn how to move through those and how to succeed out of those, but also just helping on the leadership side. I was lucky enough to be a captain a couple of years there, and I've learned a lot. So hopefully I can help share, but I hope to make an impact this year, but I also hope to make an impact like 5 years from now and have them still use little tactics that we're learning this year. But it's been a blast. Everybody's been so open, and it's been so fun.
Ramsey, this has been a program on the rise, and you were a huge part of that last season with a breakout freshman season, all conference, and you just really were demanding that backcourt. What can you tell us about your experience in your first season and what you're looking to bring into this next season?
My first season was a dream, honestly. Like, I can't remember a lot of things. It was a dream. My team helped me so much through it all. Coming in, I really didn't know what to expect, so they helped me along the way. They kind of had a path for me to go through, so yeah, I give it all to my team.
We just heard Coach Aird say that you are one of the most competitive people, and if he had to pick a competitor, he was going to go with you. That's a pretty big compliment. Where does that competitive fire come from?
Definitely my family. I grew up with 4 siblings, so having a big family, I wanted to beat them all. I was the youngest, so I kind of got bullied, quote unquote. But I'm thankful for them, truly. My parents, a huge part of it, and why I'm so competitive today.
You had an incredible summer with USA in the gym. How much confidence did that give you heading into the season?
So much confidence. I'm so thankful for the opportunity. I definitely grew my leadership role there, so it was truly an amazing opportunity to have, and definitely some things I'll take back to our court.
Obviously a couple new faces in the gym, Delaney, you being one of them, but what's the culture look like right now? If we were to come into Indiana Volleyball's gym, what do we expect to see?
I would say we're hungry. We're ready to win. We had a lot to prove last year, and I think we did do that. We didn't make the tournament, but I think it's going to be a different story this year. I think we're just hungry and ready to win.
Yeah, I think like not being there last year and understanding how their season ended last year and how close they were. And I mean, from the jump, like first day, it was all in, and it's really cool to see every single player, not even just the starting lineup, like everybody's so all in. Everybody's been grinding every day. Everybody's totally been going in their roles and helping everybody. Our freshmen are incredible. They're great people, but they're phenomenal volleyball players too, which has been so fun. I kind of feel like I'm a freshman with them, so it's been really fun to learn with them. But I feel like we're hungry. We're super gritty. I mean, the team works so hard. I haven't left a practice not being able to like feel my legs, and it gets gnarly, but it's super different from what I'm used to, but in a great way. And I'm super excited to fight with this team.
On that different note, how has it been being in the Midwest for the summer?
Yeah, it's been very different. I found lightning bugs, which was really fun. I experienced my first storm. Deer. I've been seeing there's deer in my front yard, which I'm not used to. Humidity is new, which we're not used to in Southern California. So a lot of new things, but very exciting. And I'm very nervous, but excited for my first winter. Don't know what that's gonna look like for me, but I only have to do it one time. So I'm super excited. The summer has been, like, I didn't realize how many things I didn't experience in Southern California, which was honestly a huge reason why I came to IU. I wanted to kind of broaden my horizon a bit. I'm born and raised in Southern California. I never left, which I'm super thankful for, but I'm very stoked to have a year to try something new, learn a lot of things from them. It's been nice having a bunch of girls who are born and raised in Indiana because they know how to do it, and they've been helping me out, so it's been really fun though.
Coach talked about surrounding himself with competitive people, from the coaching staff to all the players. What is that going to look like this season in the gym?
I think definitely coming into this summer, we were eager to get back into the gym. We didn't like how our season ended last year, so I think we're just ready to compete with everyone. I love all the group of girls that we have right now. I'm excited to go into the gym every single day, which is rare to have, so I think it's just cool to see.
Yeah, great people. Like, they make it so easy. I feel like that's something I learned at SC, is it's all about the people. If you have people that encourage you to be there, it makes it so easy, especially on the hard days. And they've made it such an easy transition for me. And I know I've talked to a lot of the freshmen, the same thing for them. So they make it so enjoyable. And we haven't even started with the coaches yet, so I'm super excited to be with them and learn from them and finally get coached by Kevin and Rachel, who I've known for a lot of my life. So I'm super excited.
Have there been any aspects of your game that you guys have been focusing on? Delaney, I'm sure coming to the indoor, just probably all of it, but anything specific? And then same for you, Ramsey. I'd love to hear from both of you.
Yeah, just not playing in wind and not playing in sand has been an adjustment, but I've been loving serving because I don't have to worry about those aspects, which usually are really big. So I've been trying to mess with the top spin, a bunch of different stuff, which has been a blast. But now that I'm finally getting comfortable going on the ground, defense has been a blast, and like figuring all that out. But it's been so rewarding. Like, it's coming from a point in my game in beach where I was feeling really confident, going to something where it's ground zero. It's been so fun learning new things every day, and it kind of made me take a step back and realize like how cool it is that I have this opportunity to learn from them and kind of just test my waters again in indoor. But it's been a blast. They've been so helpful.
Yeah, I've definitely been focusing on little things like leadership and having more confidence. I think as a freshman, I was trying to like make my way through it, kind of keeping above waters, but definitely confidence has been a huge thing this summer for me, and out of system's been a huge thing, so now I have my thumb back, so now I can actually use my hands, so that's been a huge thing.
Delaney, on the beach, it's just you and another player. Obviously, you're part of a bigger team, but how much fun is it to be like giving five to everybody after a great play, and everybody's involved?
Yeah, that was honestly one of the biggest reasons I wanted to come back. I loved being a part of a team, but I wanted to be a part of a team with 5 other people again. And it's so like there'll be plays where I don't even touch a ball for 3 points, but it's like the celebrations are insane. She's hilarious when we were celebrating. Like, just figuring out people's personalities, it's so funny. I've been figuring out what my celebrations are. But it's rewarding seeing people, you know, work on so many different things, seeing them train, and then when we play in little matches or scrimmages during practice and seeing it work and like getting excited for them. Because usually it's just me and another person, and who I played with the past 2 years, I've known her forever, and it's like you know her for the back of your hand. And then going to 5 people who I just met 2 months ago, it's like a full 180, but it's been a blast, and figuring the celebrations out have been so funny.
We've learned a little bit about your culture already at Indiana Volleyball, but do you guys have any pillars or mottos, anything you got on that whiteboard or in the locker room that kind of drives your program every day, or just go out and compete?
It changes a lot. We actually haven't picked out our word this season. We usually pick out a word every season, so we haven't done that yet. This summer, it was boom.
Yeah, which is funny. Well, on the wall going to the locker room, it's entitled to nothing, grateful for everything, which was like fully like a 180 for me, because that was our high school mantra all throughout my high school indoor. So I'll never forget walking into that gym for my visit and seeing that, and I was like, oh, it's meant to be. But I feel like we're figuring out what our word is this year and what, you know, mantra we want to go with. But it's definitely a gritty group, so I feel like it's going to be
Have
something.
fun, gritty, compete.
Totally.
Yeah.
Delaney, you haven't played in a lot of indoor venues at all as a collegiate athlete. What venues are you looking forward to competing in the Big Ten?
That's a good question. I'm excited to go out to Washington and Oregon and go somewhat closer to home on the West Coast, which will be a blast. But I'm super excited to play in Nebraska. I think that'll be an amazing opportunity. But honestly, I'm just excited to go to a bunch of states I've never been to, like going to Minnesota or going, you know, to Nebraska. I'm really excited to play at Purdue. I think that'll be a super cool game. I get to play in their bigger gym, and coming from a rivalry like USC and UCLA, I know this is just like it. So I can't wait to be in that atmosphere again and play in that competitive energy again.
Any matches you're most looking forward to or venues you want to play in?
Mackey's going to be fun. I grew up watching basketball. We're a basketball family, so I grew up in Mackey Arena, so it's going to be cool.
Well, we can't wait to watch you play this season. Thank you so much, Delaney and Ramsey. This has been so much fun talking with you all. Good luck this season.
Thank you.